Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. and we're back in the studio for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download, and it is post-Phoenix reaction. We're going to be talking about, obviously, winning the championship here with Junior Motorsports and Justin Allgaier. Justin's calling in. TJ's here. Hey, TJ, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm really excited.
I am too, man. It's really, really awesome, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. We got a lot to cover. It's going to be a great show. Let's go. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. All right, so we're back in the studio, and I've been itching to get back in the studio to do this show. And as I said, we are doing Dirty Air here this Tuesday. We are going to have a lot going on. Justin Allgaier, our champion in the Xfinity Series, is calling in. And is anybody else calling in today?
Joey Logano.
Joe Logano.
The champ.
Holy shit. Cup champ's calling. We'll get to talk to him. And I got a lot to talk about. So what do you guys think is trending right now on Twitter in sports?
Football.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Molly Hatchet.
Molly Hatchet.
Why would Molly Hatchet be trending right now?
I don't know, but
I just got this note. I got a screenshot
Dead.
from a friend of mine. No, that's a
That's a good answer.
Not a good answer.
Way to
Well,
bring
I
it
mean,
up.
Did you just say that your own answer was a good answer?
Well, if someone's trending, if someone's
It's like he's on
trending,
Family Feud.
odds. I'm just trying to play
I'm
along.
thinking maybe the guy's dead. Good answer.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Give me dead, Steve.
Good answer, Self.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
He's dead.
Is he dead?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was wondering where this was going because I was in a group
Song
text
play.
and I saw you bring that up. And I'm like, Molly.
Yeah.
I was like, where's this
All right.
coming from?
So, iRacing is creating the new console game for NASCAR
That's right.
2025, and
I'm a spotter for it.
TJ's a spotter for it.
Wow.
Of course, he'll be in there.
Humble brag.
Hey, we're having a blast putting this thing together, and obviously the developers are creating an awesome piece of software, and it's gonna be a fun game. Trying to incorporate everything we can into it. Obviously, over the course of the next several years, more and more additions that we want to pack into this game will be added. But one of the things that's really important, I think, is trying to create a soundtrack. And Steve Myers is that works at iRacing, great friend of mine, known him forever it seems. He asked me to see if I could, just kind of help out a little bit, spur some ideas. I reached out to a couple drivers, won't name who just yet, but we got some ideas on some songs for some drivers. And we also pitched it out to folks last night on social media. I tweeted about it. I said, "Hey, what songs are a must?" And then I saw it. I saw the NASCAR Reddit take that tweet over to Reddit. And man, if you read the thread, Molly Hatchet, flirting with disaster. So when you think of console games for NASCAR over the years, there are a couple songs, maybe 3 or 4, that were kind of iconic or memorable because of that specific game. You might have had your favorite was maybe EA 2003, 2004, Dirt to Daytona, whatever it was. They all had this one song, right? And I think most people connect the NASCAR console library to Flirting with Disaster, Molly Hatchet. And there's a couple other ones too. I think Magic Carpet Ride.
That would be mine.
Steppenwolf, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, look, here is how this works. It's really interesting. The great thing about being asked to be involved in this is I get to kind of go on this ride to learn about how you get the rights to these songs. What does that cost? How expensive is it? And so, obviously, we would love to just add any. Are we going to include Molly Hatchet? We have every intention. Every intention. If it's not on there, it was because it was impossible to get it on there. All right, we're going to try our ass off. But it'll be fun to see really kind of what kind of budget we have, what kind of expense this will cost. I'm going to learn so much through this process. It's really neat. You have to get somebody to go out and reach out to each individual person that owns the license, and it might be multiple people that own the license to one song. And you have to pay each one of those individuals. It's not a simple situation, but just kind of a fun thing I'm doing these days. People think, what's Dale Jr. doing, or guy, how's retirement?
I worry about you sometimes.
Those are things I'm working. Those are things I'm working on. What am I doing in retirement? I'm doing a podcast later today. Someone else's. I'm working with iRacing on the console game. And so there's all these little projects, man, always going on in the background. The Cars Tour, always something going on with the Cars Tour. We're trying to do.
Beekeeper. I mean,
I don't have
Flag
any-
bearer.
yeah.
I do not have bees.
You had a bee in that outlet that got you.
When? What
By
the
your
are you
pool.
talking about?
That one by your pool that you were running from. Remember the nest you found?
Oh, Jesus.
That makes you a beekeeper.
So there's a wasp. I had a wasp nest, so I'm a beekeeper.
That's right.
Yeah, so pretty cool. Great way to start the show, guys. Good energy here so far. Dirty Air is brought to you by Tire Pros. Whether you know a lot about cars or a little, the pros at Tire Pros, they're your go-to. Oil changes, engine repair. You know, they're called Tire Pros, but they do it all. So visit your local Tire Pros today. Joe Logano is now a 3-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. He's the 10th driver to win 3 or more championships in his career. And I'm thinking, man, is he – all right, we let's talk about Joey for a second. There's, we're going to talk about everything else going on in that whole thing and the season and how all that played out. But look, first off, what is Joe Gibbs thinking today? What do you think Joe Gibbs is thinking? I mean, I ain't trying to give Joe Gibbs any shit. I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, man, who not? And I know it probably wasn't Joe's idea. I'm just going to assume that other people in that company at that time, maybe they're not even there anymore, were like, hey, I think it's time to move on from Joe Logano. And honestly, when it happened, it wasn't. I don't think there was a lot of people in the industry that were going, oh, that's terrible. That's a dumb idea. And because he had struggled in that 20 car and he was replacing Tony Stewart, huge shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Results just weren't there. But we also were going to the COT. What a piece of crap. Joey had all kinds of Joey had all kinds of hurdles in front of him, right? And he had Mark Martin out there saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, so he had that sliced bread moniker. I'm not sure he really loved that. Nobody deserves that, even though Mark's intentions were good. And you got to have a guy like Mark Martin out there going, this guy's the guy you need to pay attention to. We need people saying that. That's great. That's great. But I think the media jumped on that and put a ton of pressure on the guy. And but God almighty, man, he goes on and develops into this champion caliber driver that he's clutch. He comes in when it's necessary and gets it done and wheels himself into position. Pure determination. He has a great crew chief in Paul Wolf. Great team around him. And Penske as a group, at least the 12 and the 22, always rise to the occasion. And
Oh, come on.
you did that. You did it. I laughed. So look, you got to give the guy all the credit in the world as a 3-time champion. This is 3. And I know this one's got some circumstances. So let's talk about that. We want to celebrate Joey. He's going to call in later. Gluck did a poll. Did Phoenix live up to the moment? 41.6% said yes. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Not great. Look, Phoenix is going to Phoenix sometimes. I'm not going to, I think the general opinion is, there are more exciting racetracks. Look, you can build 50 racetracks. They're not all, you can try your hardest, to build 50 racetracks of different types. And there's going to be a great one and there's going to be one that's not so good. And Phoenix kind of falls right in the middle somewhere. Sometimes you have some great events. We had a great event in the Xfinity Series the night before.
That's the thing. Like, it has potential.
The Xfinity Series has put on some awesome races, and there's a lot of reasons why. The car, I think, is just a more entertaining race car because of how difficult it is to drive.
Yeah.
The drivers are not perfect. In the Cup Series, they're good. They don't mess up. Almost said the F word. They don't mess up.
Never
Right?
done that. Never done that before.
In an Xfinity Series, we're prone to mistakes. That causes opportunities. Like, guys are going to spin out. Guys in the back going to get themselves in trouble. That's going to create cautions, create restarts, create drama. We don't get all that in the Cup Series. And so there's a bunch of reasons why. But again, in general, Phoenix is, look, the old track with the older surface, I liked that better, but it raced about the same.
Yeah.
You would still get it's not the reconfiguration. If anything, the dog leg is foolish and silly as I thought it was when it came out. How they cut the course, which is just, I don't know. You can love it or hate it.
You don't like it?
I don't love when you build a track and the best way to run it is by cutting the course. I don't think that when they built, I'll say this. Now, if they built it intentionally for the restarts to be that way, then I would go, all right. But I know damn well the guy who engineered that thing never knew what those restarts, they thought they would be.
The start-finish line wasn't even there.
Well, I'm just saying.
When they had the dog leg installed.
They thought that they would stay up on the track. And they never thought that they would go across the apron like that. And so the whole thing, when something doesn't work as designed or gets misused or there's it's a shortcut.
I like it.
I'm fine with that. I don't think they should blow it up. It's fine. I didn't love it when it came out.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, I didn't love it when it came out, but it does. Hey, seems like the drivers don't mind it. You don't mind it, so I'll shut up.
It's just like it seems like it's a passing opportunity. You can almost pull a slide job on somebody cutting the dog leg, and in a place like Phoenix where
I'll say
you
this,
need
though.
passing opportunities, it's an option. You know?
It is, but it's too rough. So the driver
on the drivers.
Yeah, it's too rough on the drivers. I talked to a lot of drivers as they go across that apron. They hate to do it because it's so violent and it's hard on their head.
It bit Ty Gibbs.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying physically, long term, over and over and over, doing that lap after lap after lap all day long. You might as well be suiting up on the offensive and defensive line of an NFL game. You know where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
All right. So and the more rigid they set up these cars, particularly with the next gen car, the more violent that action of going down there is. And so talking to some drivers, they're like, man, if I could choose, I wouldn't go there, but I have to go there. And so, but we're getting into the weeds here. Hey, all I'm going to say is, I think Phoenix is going to be Phoenix. Sometimes we're going to get great races there, sometimes not so amazing. Look, last year at Phoenix, I thought was great. The one car holding off the 12 for the championship in the Cup Series. Well, that was entertaining to me. I was entertained, and so not so much this year, and that's okay. Sometimes you're just going to have those. We can't. I'd rather them. I don't know who them is, but I'd rather everybody just keep their hands out of it. Let it play out. If it ends up being a snooze fest, oh well. We have them sometimes. Should we race somewhere else for the final race of the year? We probably should move it around. I think that Phoenix has had a great run, but I got to give Phoenix a lot of credit. They have put a ton of money into that racetrack. It's not a bad facility to go and have a good experience. You can move around. There's a lot of room in all the garage areas as a fan. The media center is great. All of the interior of the racetrack and the exterior of the racetrack is cool. Tons of camping. They have this thing. I didn't get to see it, but Justin went to it after the race outside called the Barn or something.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Right?
So they'll bring all the champions there, and it's like basically a big barn that is converted into like a bar.
Yes.
It's pretty awesome.
Right. So that alone, I don't care what the damn finish looks like. That having a bar at a racetrack raises that son of a bitch up the list for me. Because I'm telling you, I know, look, I don't understand. We got Talladega, right? One of the coolest party infields out there. It's legendary. Yes, it's built in. They have the boulevard and all that. But why in the hell, and I know they did that big bill, whatever the hell that thing was in the garage area where the fans can go in there. That's kind of what I was hoping they would do. But in the interior of the racetrack, there's a ton of unused space during the races that the campers and stuff don't get. Right there in the center of the track, there's not a ton of camping there. They should have a physical brick and mortar building that is a gathering town hall of sorts for the fans.
A bar.
Yeah. And I know it could get out of hand. I know that's extra staffing and bouncers for the rowdies and all that stuff. I mean,
That's fan experience.
I know it could be also problematic. You got, a bunch of people in there drinking and they're been up all day. But I think if you can build it in such a that there should be something like that at Talladega in the infield and in other racetracks. Michigan, all these places should have sort of a gathering town hall place where fans can go and you can have your concerts and stuff in there, considering whether there's bad weather or what have you. But yeah, I mean, so this thing that's out, I didn't get to see it. I saw some pictures when Justin went. Fans can go there. They're going to see the champion at the end of the day. They know that. So they all know to be there. They all know to go have a great experience there, and you can hang out and drink and have fun. That ups it. That ups it for me, because we cannot manipulate or determine the outcome of the race or whether the race is exciting or dull. We put the cars on the racetrack, we drop the green flag, and whatever happens, we all have to live with that, right? Unless we want to manipulate the races to make sure they're always exciting, which nobody does, right? We don't want to add more gimmicks and all of those things.
Is a traction compound a gimmick?
Sorry?
Like adding PJ1 or resin?
Well, I'm just saying we want the racing to be pure.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And sometimes you're going to have mediocre results on the racetrack in terms of excitement and all that stuff. But what they're doing, I guess, how they can make up the difference if you're a racetrack like Phoenix is by putting the barn out there, is by rebuilding the interior of the racetrack as they did. And they've turned that racetrack into a better physical, fan experience. Like if you go there for the weekend, and you got Scottsdale, it's great. But I think it's ran its course. So while it maybe not, may not have delivered the type of on-track action we were hoping for, I'm not going to give it a whole lot of shit about it.
Just to counter your point real quick, I've been to the Phoenix Championship race. I've also watched it on TV. I think both experiences are very different in terms of being there at the racetrack versus watching it on TV. And I think it's one of the best facilities in NASCAR, and I think they've done a phenomenal job, and I love going there.
Yep.
But if I'm watching on TV, it doesn't do a whole lot for me that the facility's nicer. They've added the barn. I'm happy for the fans that are there.
Is there anything TV could do to make it better?
So go to the race. Just go to the race then, Andy.
No.
Sure, not everyone can do that, though.
I know.
Well, let me
There's
ask you.
going to be people on TV.
My question, I guess, is if you were at the event, is your experience from the green flag to the checkered flag different versus watching on TV? Forget all the amenities and all that.
If I were sitting in the stands, it would probably feel about the same.
Okay.
Ish.
Yeah.
But I think TV plays a big role into how we make our schedule and the format and what we do to decide a champion and where we go. So the problem is Miami has the racing. I'm always going to be a proponent for Miami, but they don't have the facility which Phoenix has. So it's like, and even Steve Phelps has mentioned this too. He mentioned it in State of the Sport that Miami, they've thought about looking back. They're going to see what attendance looks like in March. And that'll be
good.
It's not going to be good.
No.
But he's like, that's going to be really big for us to see if we can gain momentum. It makes me feel like it's almost like they're using it as an escape to be like, well, the attendance wasn't good. That's why we can't go back to Miami. But
I agree with you.
he did say that they're looking at other venues like Darlington, Charlotte. He said Vegas. Those are the three other venues he named.
Not terrible.
Not terrible.
Yeah.
Vegas has the racing and you could argue the venue, which I don't know. I think for NASCAR, they need to find that happy medium of facility and racing. And unfortunately, Phoenix and Miami don't have both.
Yeah.
But you could go to Homestead and very well have Tyler Reddick lead 3/4 of the laps and win by a straightaway there.
You're right. Yeah, I mean,
is that a good thing?
No, I'm saying you can get the same. Not every race is going to be a Game 7 last drive.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I thought Phoenix actually put on a fairly good race.
Yeah.
So for Phoenix, I mean, what do you expect?
What would you enjoy about it?
I thought the racing was hard. The restarts were wild. I thought the cream rose to the top at the end. We had a guy run another guy down. Joey got a better restart than Blaney, and that separated him out a little bit. And that's not, that's what it comes down to. And Joey executed and got through traffic a little bit better. Ryan had to use his stuff up, but it was cool seeing Ryan run him down to get there. I think the only thing that I would like to see a little bit is the guys, I don't know, like the tire that we had at Martinsville was really good. I think a tire that wore out even more to where, these guys are sliding around and struggling a little bit. Like maybe Joey went too hard in the beginning, but without a late race restart, a green-white checker, that race is probably not going to score very well in that poll. But, I mean, I thought it was a good race. We had a late race restart. We were all on the edge of our seats watching that one. And, that's just how Phoenix – I thought it was a fairly good race for Phoenix.
Question for both of you then. With Blaney running Joey down, obviously he didn't get to him. With this package, with this car, did he have a chance if he had more laps or more tire? Was there an opportunity to pass him, or is it really difficult?
No, I thought I could have passed him. He had hurdles in his way to get there at the end of the race, which were other cars. He had to pass the 5, not easy to do, and the 24, not easy to do as well. And like I said, if he nets out a little bit better on that restart and has to pass 1 or 2 less cars, that track's big enough. And Ryan's secret to Phoenix is running the second lane through 3 and 4. He's really good at that, and he's really consistent at it to when you finally slip up and he baits you to the bottom one time or something, then he gets that run, he's there. So I think that Ryan's good enough there, and he's just good, man, and he would have found a way around. You can only block so long. So I do think he would have got him, but the circumstances didn't work out like that. That's okay.
I think that no matter what generation of car we have, that would have been the same challenge in terms of trying to pass Joe Logano
because of the racetrack itself.
Because of the track,
okay. The
way that track drives, how smooth it is, and how much lateral grip that you need to be quick. You really just drive to the limit of the front tire, and so a great race car will allow you to push those front tires a little further through the middle of the corner and roll through the center of the corner a little bit better. And the cars that don't do well there are very limited on how much you can push the front tires, and so you end up with chatter in the right front and stuff like that through the center, and that's where you get beat at Phoenix on both ends of the racetrack. And as soon as you take any air away from the front of the car, any generation of NASCAR Cup car, you get tighter. You lose front grip. You trying to catch the guy in front of you. It becomes more and more difficult. And it looked like as we got toward the back end of that run, Blaney had used up quite a bit of his car, probably cooked the front tires a little bit, lost a little bit of turn, and when he got to Joey, he just didn't have what he needed. And Joey was really smart and tidy, wrapping the bottom and being smart and doing what he needed to do. Joey's one of the best. I wouldn't call it. Yeah, I mean when blocking is necessary, he's one of the best blockers.
Teardown said Coleman Presley was spotting it like a super speedway race at the end.
Now he wasn't blocking there, but he's using the air. He's making it as difficult as possible, and he's one of the smarter guys about knowing kind of how to position his car. You could see as they would try to get down into turn 3, Joey knew where he was going to go, right, to the bottom or the middle, right? He knew going down the back straightaway where he wanted to be at the middle of the corner, but he would always try to delay that choice as long as he could to not give the 12 the opportunity to know where he needed to go. And so, like, Joey would kind of, like, wait till the last second to turn down into 3, right? Because then Ryan doesn't know whether he needs to run the top or the bottom until Joey makes his choice. And the later Joey can sort of make that decision, the harder it is for Blaney to use the other lane as an advantage. And so it would throw Blaney off just a little bit on entry to where Blaney couldn't commit to opening up the entry to make the top work because he wasn't sure if Joey was going to run that line. And so that was that's one of the things Joey's really good at.
Is that where like his experience comes into play versus like Blaney? Because Blaney had I think we all knew he pretty much had the fastest car on the track. Like he was flying through the field, but Joey was able to kind of like almost outwit him, I guess. Like does that show that he's kind of still got that edge of like experience and?
No, he just had the advantage of being in front.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're both equally talented about that type
Gotcha.
of stuff, and the gamesmanship and all that. And there's things that Blaney sees guys doing that I don't even see. Like, Blaney will get frustrated over Larson, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't see it. He did,
that was entertaining.
right. It's same thing the year before with the one of Chastain.
Yeah.
Blaney's getting frustrated and mad, so much so that he's getting almost physical. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really. I'm not seeing what he's seeing, and so Blaney sees a lot that we necessarily don't really understand, because man, when you're in that car, you can almost see that guy looking in. You can almost see that guy trying to drive defensively, whereas when we're watching it from our perspective, we're not really picking up on tiny cues. So my point being is that I think Blaney's really clever, really smart about. You talk about baiting, like we really didn't worry about baiting drivers that much back in my time. Baiting, we kind of did sometimes at certain tracks, like mainly at the speedways, super speedways. You was trying to get a guy if you wanted to get on his right rear quarter panel, you try to get him down the track and make him think you were going to try to dive low, get him protecting the bottom line, but. Any other racetrack, we didn't worry about it so much because trying to run in clean air with the older cars, we didn't. It wasn't as necessary to always have to go run the other lane. If you're following a guy in this next gen car, you have to run offline from whatever he's doing everywhere at every track.
Yeah,
and so that wasn't so much a deal. With the older car, that's a problem. That's something I don't love about the next gen. It's like you can't follow the guy in front of you because the air doesn't get underneath the car to the back of the diffuser. And so baiting is really part of the game now, trying to get that guy to run a different line so that you can run the line you want to run behind him, which is a lot of fun.
When I was spotting for you, you didn't really want a guy right on your bumper into the corner either because it took the air off your spoiler, and then you'd walk up the track a little bit. Similar to Xfinity car, still now, but this baiting and I mean you're just manipulating the air behind you. All these races that are mile and a half have turned into like plate races, because like remember Kansas whenever Joey held off Kevin for like the last 50 laps of the race, and like Kevin was like 3/10 faster a lap, but you're just literally manipulating the air behind you. You're literally looking in your mirror and just driving where he goes, and Joey's obviously one of the best at doing that.
He is, and so. I guess we can't wrap up Joey unless we all comment on how we feel about the way he went through winning this championship.
Sure. Format.
Phelps will tell you all the guys in the series knew the format, right? But we've got what I think we got to go back to specifically is the Roval, where the 48 gets penalized post race, and that, which Joey's out of the next round, that kicked Joey back into the playoffs. And we had that conversation right here at this table where we were sitting there going, man, what if he wins?
That was it for me. Like, he made it through on this, like he's winning the championship. I think we said it on the show, like, Joey, it's destined.
I think we were saying it in jest, but in that moment, we weren't all that thrilled about that possibility. Would it be fair?
Yeah.
And here it is, a reality. Are we just as disgruntled about it now?
I'm not upset at Joey. Like, Joey deserves all the praise in the world. He's a deserving 3-time champion.
He didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't. He is one of the best at playing the damn game.
Yeah.
But it's Gluck and Bianchi said this on the teardown. Did I expect the 15th place driver in the regular season to win the championship? I'm sorry, I didn't see that coming.
That's the problem, I think. If there is a problem or if there is a gripe, it's are we supposed to be all right with that type of performance throughout the regular season? And that, I mean, you could argue, some people say that we shouldn't compare ourselves to
other sports.
But I mean, a wild card team in the NFL with a 9-6 record or whatever, has every possible has the opportunity, has the pathway to the Super Bowl, and could win it. Now, it's unlikely, but it's not. Nobody's going to go, bullshit, they need to change the playoffs. This can't happen. And so nobody's complaining about the wild card teams being in there. And he was literally kind of a wild card team in this format. Do I love the format? No. I think there should be more than a one race run to the title. We all can talk in circles about that. I want them to go back to the original system of no playoffs. Never going to happen.
Winston.
It's a waste of conversation. It's a waste of time to spend
Steve
another minute.
O'Donnell answered that question for you.
I know.
But here's what he did say, and this is why I think the conversation's opened, is we'll absolutely look at what form the playoffs take in the offseason. Yeah. And so does that mean what we could get, kind of what we want, is a 3-race final round, or
I think what they're doing there is just leaving themselves the opportunity to open that door if they feel like that if this were to continue, or if there's if there is a ton of criticism, a ton of pushback from the fans, because let's face it, man, whether they will admit it or not, NASCAR absolutely ebbs and flows due to due to whatever might be the loudest conversation on social media.
And does that almost bite them in the butt? Because are we giving the playoff format such scrutiny because we know other ways to crown a champion? Is that because we've crowned a champion too many different ways that it's just the door's open? Everyone has an opinion? Everyone has an opinion.
So everyone has a different feeling about the way things should go. All right. I'm a traditionalist. I think that the best way to determine your champion is the season-long race of running all of the races the way we used to do it years ago. And I feel like that's the purest way to know that this person did it all right. Mm-hmm. You know? But this current format gives us better moments, gives us more drama, way more. People can argue, but you're going to tell me, look at the attendance, look at viewership, all those things. I don't give a shit. This stuff right now, the way they have the elimination and all that, I can't look away. And it is here for a reason. There's a reason why they changed it, right? And so is it the right way? And it isn't. Is it perfect? No, it's not. And that's why it's always kind of changed. That's why the chase and the playoffs, or whatever they want to call it, they're like, why did we called it the chase, and then we call it the play? It's all convoluted. There's been so many iterations of this, and they keep adding people to it, and they keep changing, and it'll continue to change because they're in search of that perfection. They're in search of the perfect format. I don't know if that exists. I won't be mad if they changed it. I won't be mad if they leave it alone. Do I think this is great? No. Is there a better way? Probably. But I don't pretend to know what that is. I just think that, God, to crown the champion, we need a little bit more of a sample size than one event. Mm. But I'm not sure if we went to that.
In the same racetrack, too.
Right. I'm not sure if we went to that, whether that would produce anything more compelling. Maybe, maybe not.
I don't think it would. What we have right now is an entertaining product. I will say that. You can't look away from it. Yeah. But I do think entertainment kind of has two different sides. There's awe and being in amazement at what you're seeing, and then there's shock and seeing Joey Logano make it into the play. After Alex Bowman gets eliminated and then winning Vegas, and you're almost shocked. You're like, is this really happening? It's really happening in front of my eyes. And so I think that there's a weight that. And the reason why a lot of fans are frustrated is because it doesn't seem authentic. It doesn't seem like Joey Logano won fair and square. He did. We all agree on that. Yeah. But if you give us a 3-race final or a 10-race final and you have 12 guys in it or whatever it is, and then he goes out and performs, which he did. He won more races in the last half of the year than anybody else.
4 wins total on the season,
right?
Including the All-Star race,
and so all of this,
not including it,
all of this energy gets deflected towards the one race, the track, the car. Right? There's this giant payoff that we're waiting for that we're never gonna get, especially at Phoenix. And so it's why don't you try to put it at a better track? Why don't you try to give us a different package? Why don't you try to make it different? And that's when fans get frustrated because it's you know the formula. You're just not giving it to us.
They don't know the formula.
They know
You don't
changes
know it.
to make.
Yeah, I don't think there is a perfect formula.
No. To assume that no one can assume that there is a better or a perfect format.
That's fair.
I mean, no one's told me one. I haven't
fair.
heard one. Now, and even if you said, I believe this to be the way that we need to do it, I would need to see it happen. I'd need to see it, but I don't want to. I mean, listen. It's like, I think to answer your question, Andrew, I believe O'Donnell said that because they absolutely want the freedom to make changes, right? And they're not going to stand up there and go, "Oh, we're never changing the format. This is it." And they should maintain that flexibility. I don't think they'll react to this particular year the way they might have reacted to Kenseth winning, the championship by winning one race in 2003, I believe. But they may make some changes. They may make some adjustments. I think there's too many drivers in the playoffs. I liked it when it was 10. I liked a longer sample of that final round, whether that's 10 races or 3 races. I don't really care. Just give me a few, more than one.
Sure.
Because that one race, like right now, right? You said it, TJ. If we go to Homestead, it caters to particular drivers, like Larson or Reddick. When we go to Phoenix right now, it seems to be a great place for Penske, right? Might not be the case next year or beyond, but for the last couple of years, it's been a great racetrack for them. Yeah. So
Martinsville, Phoenix in a row really caters to them.
For sure, but that's not.
It's not the end of the game. But
no, but it could change.
I didn't like starting at Atlanta. I didn't like starting at Atlanta with 16 drivers because there was a lot of protecting of those guys in the very beginning.
We didn't get the Atlanta that we should have.
For sure.
No. Atlanta is, right now, in my mind, the wildest, craziest ticket on the circuit. If you got all the guys out there giving it everything they got, the racing is the most entertaining, compelling that we have.
It's tough.
But when they went there for the first round, it took all of that almost out of it. So it sort of knocked the air out of the balloon a little bit. And that there's some negatives to there's some things that the playoffs do that we don't love, where drivers do things a little differently because of the system, like at Martinsville.
Yep.
Right. And so, anyhow, congratulations, Joey. We're going to talk to him in a bit. 3-time champ. He did what he had to do to win it. They gave him the pathway, and he achieved it. You got to celebrate him. And we'll all debate on whether the playoffs need to change or not over the next probably couple of decades, I'm sure. But still a great weekend for NASCAR. Unlike, I guess, Martinsville, which was a bit of a challenging weekend for NASCAR, we had a relatively solid end to the season. Christopher Bell's Championship 4 comments, a lot of people have been talking about this. He called, I guess, talking about Martinsville, he called it, quote, unquote, race manipulation and race fixing. That's a little strong. Saying it's one of the hardest things I've had to go through as a race car driver. Again, I look back to, I will tell him he should probably go watch Martinsville from several years ago when the car he was driving was sort of doing the same thing for Denny at the end of the race. This isn't nothing new. And I get it. He's frustrated. And he has every right to say whatever he wants to say. But I don't think there's anyone is entirely innocent of some manipulation.
We raced hard.
We saw.
And Steve Phelps in the State of the Sport added to that. What I saw at Martinsville pissed me off, and it pissed everyone off at NASCAR because we all know better and we know what happens. And then he even went on to say, will we have a rule next year? 1,000%.
So that'll be interesting. They had a meeting with the OEMs and I guess some team members, and this is a so let me. I talked last week about how I thought the best route forward was, how do you deter this, right? Was to suspend the drivers for a week, even though the drivers really were just doing what they were told or doing what they knew they had to do. If either one of the Chevrolet drivers passed Byron, I would hate to think what punishment, inadvertent punishment might come down on those guys.
That's so bad. That's so terrible.
It is. It's the way it is.
It's so bad.
It is the way it is. The drivers didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? And so while I don't love what they did, they really didn't have a choice, because if they had drove around Byron, if you're driving for another organization, what's Rick Hendrick going to do, right? If you passed his car, he'd be real pissed off. He'd probably call you. He'd probably tell you you're dumb for making that decision. But now the OEM or the manufacturer, if you kick out their Chevy car and you're driving a Chevy, they're gonna be upset with you and your organization, your team. What that means, I don't really know tangibly.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where it starts, right? Up at the top. And even if there weren't any conversations from the organization, or even if the manufacturers didn't give them direct orders, there's this perception that they know they need to do a certain thing on the racetrack. The drivers, right? They know, hey man, my spotter's telling me he's one of the good. That means I probably shouldn't pass him. And so, how do we? Now that we're at the end of the year. Now that we have the off season, how do we unwind that ball of yarn and get to the root of the issue, and so that we go back to Martinsville, which is likely the elimination race, and we don't see that? And again, I will say, it is not the first time that's been happening at Martinsville. It's not a new thing. It's happened in the previous years, different occurrences. And so, how do we, I can understand one teammate protecting another, right? But it, when it becomes like almost series wide, where it's all of one manufacturer sort of, posturing for each other and helping each other, we got to figure out where do you fix this problem? Where in the ladder, right? It's not the drivers. Even though I think that would have been the deterrent to penalize, to park them for a week, that might have been the deterrent to the overall problem, which is the pressure from the top, which is the manufacturer. And so I wonder if you get the manufacturers in the room, and if NASCAR gets them in the room and says, guys, what are we doing? Y'all got to quit. We got to quit this. I wonder if that's going to be enough.
Phelps did say they had a call with the OEMs, and you mentioned that they had a meeting, and they were very clear in what our intentions are going forward. And that, I'm quoting Steve Phelps there, but you nailed it on the head with NASCAR's interpretation of the penalties from last week. Steve Phelps said, we made the decision that the drivers are holding the wheel, but the drivers were essentially told what to do. We gave them the benefit of the doubt. Saturday's message from Elton and John to the drivers is that will be your warning. Yeah. So
there you go.
So that makes sense to suspend Freddie. He was really all on him there. Mm-hmm. What I think about this is, remember the Talladega race we lost to Joey? We got to restart, the one where Kevin got loose and hit Trevor Bayne or whatever.
Yes.
That was Jeff. I think Jeff was pushing Joey, and Brad was pushing us. And we actually got to lead, but then we got towards closer to turn one, and he side-drafted a little bit, got back out front. But that was there was never any, get off of him, don't push him. It was go as hard as you could and do everything you could possibly do to win that race.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Yeah. Well, I do too, bud. And I don't know if you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's kind of like, how do you unlearn this?
That'd be hard.
But we can't let it escalate either.
Yeah, but
I don't know how you truly stop it. I'm afraid that there's not really. I mean, if a driver wants to not push a guy on a late restart at Talladega because of some particular reason about the car he's driving or the team he drives for, I mean that's I don't and that isn't as quite as egregious, I guess, as what we saw happen at Martinsville, but I don't know, man. I think it's I think our sports evolve. Our sport, F1 has. I look at F1 and I go, well, it's been going on in F1 and it's almost normalized.
I don't want to get there.
Oh, that was terrible.
But I'm just saying it's normalized in F1. They don't look at it and go, oh, we're our integrity.
They should.
Well, I mean, it's not. All right. To be fair, they don't mind in F1 for any of that to happen. And there's we see it, like we're watching it here. Us guys sitting in this room will watch it and go, wow, he just let him win. He pulled over. Like, it's crazy to us, but to F1 fans, that is perfectly normal and natural. Now, maybe not preferred, but it's acceptable. They don't blow up and explode and say,
they get pretty mad still.
Well,
some of them, if you're a fan of the driver that pulls over.
I suppose, yeah, but
yeah.
To be fair, I mean, they don't really. They're not trying to blow up the system. I don't know how we keep that from eventually becoming the norm in our. I know NASCAR wants to try, but I don't know what offenses they have.
Do you not think it needs to be something severe enough to where if there is a meeting about whatever, someone stands up and says, "Man, we shouldn't do that because this is going to happen."
That guy might get ran out of the room. I don't know. It's a risk you take.
Is this something where the teams want to be policed in terms of how much they spend? Like, please put limits on us spending. Like,
how do you do that even? I've never understood that.
Sure, right.
I don't
how in the hell?
Do the manufacturers, do you think they want to be policed more? Is that the only way?
No,
I'd
take away wind tunnel time. I don't know. I mean, everybody wants wind tunnel time. Take that away. I don't know. I don't think there is a perfect response to it, but I do think sitting the drivers knowing that if they do something, they might not race the next week. That's going to be in the back of their mind too.
I thought that might be enough. I think not. I wasn't trying to get the driver's attention. I wasn't trying to get the owner's attention there with that idea of sitting the driver out for a week. It was what can really get the manufacturer to go, whoa, we don't want that.
Yeah.
And that might be the only thing, right? It sucks for the driver because he's just doing what he thinks he's supposed to do.
But the manufacturer, hey, if you do this for us.
But I don't think just asking the manufacturer to stop is.
Well, and obviously, that's not going to be the only thing they do. They said there's going to be a rule or something
can't
like
wait.
that.
I cannot
see
wait
what that rule
to see what this rule is.
So what if a driver lifts, Daytona race or early in the year, we go to, and you got a driver that
we have a
100%
rule.
Mm-hmm.
What if he gets suspended?
That is literally impossible to
prove.
The playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, does he get a waiver?
Yeah.
If he gets suspended for doing something, does he get a waiver? Because I don't make him not do anything. If you do this stuff, you're done. You got to race all the races, right?
Yeah, I don't know. NASCAR doesn't want to, pluck a driver out of the Final Four going into Phoenix because of this. They don't want that.
No.
They don't want that media spotlight. They want this to quit. They want it to stop. But I'll be interested to see what kind of rule they make that's a true deterrent for. Is it if it's the manufacturers that are sort of driving this narrative, right? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Anyways, how about everybody's prediction? I mean, I got close on mine
You
as
were
far
real
as Blaney
close.
repeating.
I think I had Larson at least at the beginning of the playoffs. Then I think I picked Byron at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I have no idea.
I thought Blaney was going to win it. That's like his second best. That's his best track to Martinsville. So
going into the day,
predicted-
it feels like a Penske day.
TJ predicted before Martinsville. He's like, he's going to go into Martinsville and win, and then he's going to. So I got to tip my
pretty
cap
close.
to you on that. Yeah, for sure.
I think I deserve that credit you're giving him, but I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide.
You did have a longer
Did you pick
run.
Blaney?
Yeah.
Did you pick Blaney?
Back in January.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
the season ends.
You never
You're being
mention it.
smart ass.
You
Yeah,
never
I was
mention it.
waiting for the punchline.
The season ends how perfect for Ryan Blaney right now. So I mean, you'd be dumb to not pick him like every
Yeah.
year.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going next year for the finals?
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick him again. Might as well.
Yeah,
Martinsville.
are we
I'm
picking a
pretty sure
champion
it's
already?
I'm pretty sure it's
Give
the
me
same.
Christopher Bell redemption arc starts now.
All right.
Next year.
Everyone
I
said
think he's
that
got a
last
good
year too.
I know. And then Joey doesn't make the Final Four because It's an odd number year. But
Yeah.
he'll be back in 26.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go with Ryan Blaney again.
I think it'll be a Hendrick year for some reason. I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
Larson maybe again. I don't know. No reason behind
Well,
it.
he is running Indy again, so
Oh yeah, we'll see if he can make it to the 600.
Yeah.
Good season overall, I guess.
I gotta say, I was thinking about picking Byron.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's close.
I know he is right on top
Yeah.
of it.
that guy runs like so consistent.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just doesn't ever fall back.
He's a
it
little
seems
wild and stuff and on social media and that too, so I like him.
like. He's got that edge. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Was it a good season?
Yeah.
Man, it was all right.
All right.
Yeah, it's good.
I think
1 to 10.
we had a lot of good moments.
I'd give it a 7.5.
Not
That's
bad.
fair.
C plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go 7.5 to 8. We've had some really good races. I thought places, like Chicago performed well. Everything the mile and a half brought a lot of heat this year as well. Like they were great races. Had I do think rain messed a
Killed
lot of
us,
stuff up.
especially in the beginning.
Beginning of the year, we had a lot of rain.
And that just sucks. Like there's
It
nothing
does.
anyone can do about
Yeah.
that.
There's too many road courses.
I
for
agree
me,
with that.
And I want the short tracks to continue to try to improve.
Yes.
So I think they're getting somewhere with this tire.
Oh,
So-
dude, Martinsville was awesome.
Yeah.
Loved it. They
So-
need a little bit more from Martinsville.
Yeah.
It was, dude, I loved it.
This tire needs to run everywhere from a mile under. Or they need to try to see if they can get there
Yes.
to where they can run that tire at any of the tracks that are 1 mile or smaller. Even Dover, if it'll live. Might
Oh,
not
yeah.
live at Dover. But
This year seems like a big building block
Yeah.
year. Like we learned a lot of things on where to take this car, the schedule, and
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah. What was your most disappointing moment?
Honestly, like for me, Phoenix just didn't feel like that big finale that I was looking for. There was so much
I
hype
could
and
have guessed this.
anticipation.
I could have guessed this.
who? What? Phoenix?
Phoenix,
Yeah.
the championship.
Huh.
I was looking for a little bit more of that. Wow, this is
You want
this
the green
is
white
it.
checker? Yeah, I get
No,
it.
Well, the drivers will tell you. The drivers will tell you, man, that this is why that really wasn't that big of a surprise to me. Unfortunately, it's because the drivers will tell you like the hardest thing is just getting there.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
sure.
They're
Of
like,
course.
yeah. So like that's backwards. The hardest thing ought to be the last. But the hardest thing ought to be the ultimate goal of winning the title, right? But they'll tell you like the stress and anxiety and the work and struggle is all piled up into the first 3 rounds and mostly that second to last round, and that's where I think that's a flaw, right? That we need to try to consider flipping somehow. But for me, I think just there's too many road courses in general. If we're just talking about was it a good year? Where's my my state of the union? Where's NASCAR in my life? In my life, and how am I loving my NASCAR? It's just too many road courses. I'm not a big fan of road courses.
Yeah.
I'm just not. But
I wish Charlotte Oval was twice.
Yeah, as we keep adding road courses, as the road courses kind of keep going up, it takes a lot. It takes a little bit of enjoyment out for me. But hey, I'm wearing my NASCAR hoodie. I wanted to let y'all know how I got this.
How did you? I was going to ask you.
I was too. I was going to.
Yeah.
Dang, look at you.
Why didn't you ask?
Wow, you
glad
said
you
I
asked.
was late when I walked in right on time,
Right.
so I didn't want to.
So we were. The good
901.
transition into the Xfinity Series. We were sitting on top of the pit box midway through the Xfinity race. I just didn't put a ton of thought into what I needed to bring to the racetrack and didn't realize or think that it would get that chilly at night. It started to
desert.
get a little cool. I had on a short sleeve shirt, and there was a souvenir shop right behind our pit box in the fan zone. And I got on a text message and I was like, hey, a couple people were there, Morgan and Steph, and I was like, has anybody got a hoodie and maybe grab one from that thing? I don't care, whatever. I thought they would have like Phoenix, Raceway or something.
Championship race.
Yeah, just Phoenix. Something.
Yeah. They got some cool stuff from there too, though.
So
There
they
is
went
some.
over there to, and this is the only hoodie that they sold in that souvenir stand. And she brought it over and said, this is all they had. And I was like, yeah, I'm not putting that on. Not in the middle of a race, right? The camera kept coming over there and looking up on the pit box.
That's like Rob Lowe wearing the NFL hat.
yep.
Same thing.
Right. What if I
That's probably. A
I
good
just hope all the
decision.
teams have fun.
Could
That's
you
all.
imagine?
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
go, Justin? Yeah.
That's how you got that caution. I get it.
I put this on and boom,
caution. I don't know.
Conspiracy theories galore.
It's weird. There's a caution button right inside this pocket here.
And so I kept it. I kept the sweater. I stuffed it in my bag, and I kept the sweater. Somebody went outside and got a Junior Motorsports hoodie off of it. I just wasn't gonna wear one. I was just gonna.
Because in the pictures you were wearing a different hoodie.
I know. So I didn't ask for that. Somebody brought it. Said we got. I didn't know where it came from, whether somebody loaned it to me or whatever. But I found out they got that off the souvenir rig outside.
Wow.
And so I put that on. But I brought this home and I was like, I'll wear this on the show. That'll be fun. People, all the fans out there that think we're just, we're in NASCAR's pocket. Here you go. Here's your proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're wearing a NASCAR hoodie and then a team hat.
Yeah.
Or a championship.
Champion. Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounded like it was hard to get.
Champion hat. This is tough.
kidding.
This is hard to get. This is
That is
This
hard.
is very special.
The sweatshirt?
Yeah.
It is.
This hat.
It's a big deal.
This hat. Yeah. Not one of a kind, but hey. Only one. Only.
Is that's straight from Victory Lane?
Only one team got this.
That's right.
We did.
Hell yeah.
We did.
Oh,
Who are the champions? We're the champions. That's right.
Roll the music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play the.
I had that flag. I was running around the infield with it, and people were cheering, and I was like, "There's only one champion here tonight. It's us. It's us. It's us." I just thought that was so fun.
How much fun was it running around with that flag?
It was awesome.
It looked like a blast.
It was. So, we've been talking about that here at Junior Motorsports over the last 36 or 48 hours, and why this championship feels different. There's a couple reasons. And I'll name a few. In all the other championships that we won, while they were great and amazing, we won them with drivers that were we were a placeholder, which is what we want to be, right? We will tell you all day long that this is a place where we want people to come and hone their craft and eventually move on to the Cup Series. That's the win for us, just like wins on the racetrack. Anytime anybody gets a Cup job out of here, sad to see them go. It's going to be hard to replace them, but that's what they're here for. That's what we're here for. And so, we've had drivers like Byron, Chase, Reddick, that Reddick was already announced that he was leaving us when he won the title. And so we were still accomplishing what we wanted to in that moment, but we knew those drivers had bigger plans, And it's not like that with Justin. Now, Justin wants to drive a Cup car. He will tell you that. He's like, man, I wish I was a full-time Cup racer. I would have loved to have been that all these years. But he hasn't. He's been here. And it was kind of he's our guy, right? He's our guy. And so it was kind of like, like if we were to build our own chassis and go, win a race with it, or if, we get a lot of resources from Hendrick Motorsports, and that's why we're competitive. That's why we get a lot of help on chassis, setup, engineering. That's how we run so good. It's because of that connection. But if you ever were to do anything on your own or build something of your own and it succeed and do those things that you've done with all of those other resources, it's an incredible feeling. And that's kind of what we feel like with Justin, is like he's our guy. And he's always kind of taken a back seat to these young guys that are here today and gone tomorrow. And he's had to, it's not a bad deal. He's had a great life. He's had a great job. He's won races, had a blast. But he's always sort of had to know that, we try our best to give all the cars an equal opportunity. But he knows that there's an emphasis on this particular driver because they've got, someone beyond here's got plans for him. And so, I don't know. That was one reason why it was so special. Obviously, we're sitting here looking at maybe the last handful of years for Justin to have an opportunity to win a title. He's in a great race car. Jim Polio makes that car fast as hell. But Justin himself, at his age, you just don't know how many more years you've got that you'll be willing to put it on the line, take the risks, right? And I've always said, 43 is that age. Well, he's getting closer and closer to some point when the performance is just going to start to crest. And so we knew the time was running out on that opportunity for him to win the title. We knew with the current format how difficult it was for him to win the title or anybody to win the title. And then we went there and crashed the primary 4 laps into practice. And they had built a brand new car. We sat here at this table last week talking to the 4 drivers from the final round, and Justin was talking about his brand new car. So that car's wrecked, and the car that they get out, I didn't know at the time. I knew it was the Vegas car, run 3rd at Vegas, good car. But I didn't know it, but that's my car that I raced at Bristol. They built that car for me. I was going to run that car every time I raced, and it was going to sit in the corner of the shop. But when I said, hey, I'm not going to race next year, they said, well, we're going to take your car and use it then. So they took it to Vegas, and they run 3rd. Good little race car. And so they got that car out. I called Jim, and I said, hey, man, all things considered, how you feel about your backup? He said, it's good. He said, does it have all of the bells and whistles? Is it got everything that I've built into this brand new car? No. He said, but it's going to be a good car. And I'm like, all right, there's plenty of race, and we got a real good shot at this. And I got to the racetrack, walked around in the garage, sat with the team, listened to people talk, listened to Jim talk, listened to everybody, and looked at the car. And as I was doing all of those things throughout the day, my confidence just was like, man, we're fine. This is fine. And then the 16 had an issue, had to go to the back with us. Mm-hmm. All right, no problem. I was skeptical about how good the 21 would be. Thought, all right, we got a shot to beat him. I don't feel like we've lost anything there. But the 00 was dominant there last year, so it really came down to what kind of car Cole would have. And he had a great car, but not as good, I believe, as the year before. And so the race starts, and I'm on top of the pit box, and Kelly's up there with me, and I'm like, look at the lap times, Kelly. It's like we're driving through the field passing lap cars, and we're still running the best laps in the field. That doesn't happen in traffic. That doesn't happen mid-pack. I was like, if he was matching them, I'd be pretty happy with that, but he's beating them. And as the run went on and on, I'm like, God, we're flying. Our car is fast. It's better than the leaders. And, and then we ran into some, problems. And Justin.
Riley Herbst.
Well,
problems.
Yeah. Oh, the penalty.
Yeah. So we come off of turn 4, and Justin tried to go underneath a car, and Riley was on his left rear. They made contact. Kind of a racing deal. Was it a mistake? Yes. But it's racing. Almost spun Riley out. I can understand his frustration. But then we come off of turn 2, and Riley turned right into the left rear tire, which is a really jerk move. All things considered, that's a jerk move. No matter,
sure.
I don't care who does it.
Yeah.
And so,
especially knowing what Justin's racing for.
I don't think Riley thought about it. I mean, right or wrong, I don't think Riley gives a shit. I don't think Riley was sitting there going, I better not do that because he's in the point. I think he's sitting there going, that guy drove across my right front off on the a half a lap ago. I'm mad. And so, and that's what you're dealing with out there. That's okay. If it wasn't my car, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be like, look at that shit. That's hilarious.
I'd like to see the championship guys get raced with some respect.
Why?
What do you mean why?
You want them to be raced differently?
So just the people should just pull over.
But you don't. No, I'm not saying pull over. You can. Did I say pull over?
I'm just asking.
There's a big difference between racing someone hard and then dooring them.
Yeah. Well,
and that's where I think the line is.
I was really, hey, look, it happened. It was unfortunate. It's easy to say now that I'm not that bothered by it. In the moment, I was annoyed for sure, but it wasn't the end of the day. We come down pit road and threw some left side tires on. If that left rear's not cut, we can, we can figure out how to get that set of tires back on the car later. So it's going to be okay, which ended up being the case. So we come down pit road. That put us behind. We got a couple penalties, and we got a restart penalty, which was bad. Justin's like, what? What did I do? I'm like, dude, I'm not going to get on the radio and get chatty. Jim's in control. This is his team. But I'm sitting there, damn, Justin, how can you not know that you pulled left? And we were talking about it yesterday at the shop. And I'm like, Justin, he's like, I didn't pass anybody. I'm like, but you were in the act of passing. You can't fucking move. And it's just like, I look at Kansas as the the way they police Kansas, that's the way I expect them to police it. If I'm a driver, I'm going to go, all right, if this is how they do it at Kansas, I'm going to assume that's the way it is everywhere. And so,
with the apron, what you're
when
talking about.
you're not able to pull out a line before you get to the line, if you're on the inside line, for example, and you're following the guy in front of you, when the green flag comes out, you have to follow him across the start-finish line before you can make any kind of a passing action, before you can move left, right, whatever. So when at Phoenix, it's a little different because they're in a different place on the racetrack in terms of they're not right against the apron or pinned against the apron, but it's the same for me. It's pretty straightforward. For Justin, his perspective is it is not the same. And I'm like, Justin, I don't know how you see it the way you see it. You pulled left, and I looked over at Kelly and I said, he might get penalized for what he just did on that restart. And literally a lap later, they called him to pit road.
Yeah.
Is that something you need to remind drivers of at Phoenix specifically?
They do.
They hammer us on that all week. Like, we get reminders from NASCAR.
All you got to do is
telling Brad and
everybody. Every restart you tell them there because they're all. If you have a run, you just want to go and you got to pull the reins. You got to time it right because it was getting carried away with guys really diving early and stuff and getting an advantage from it. And they've really cracked down on it. So
all you got to do is get up in the morning and say, "Hey, did you watch the truck race last night?"
Oh my God!
You might want to.
Yeah.
And so, that was frustrating as hell because I put that on Justin. I'm like, "Damn it, Justin, you didn't need to do that." And so, he's trying to get. That's Justin's style. He is always trying to get an advantage. And it bites him. And so as much as that, and that's great. Look at it. Look at his restarts. Look at every single restart from that race. He is always trying to get an advantage, never complacent. And so while that bites him in the ass here, it does help him prevail in other scenarios.
Sure.
We won a race at Chicago, seems like 10 years ago. We were not going to win that race. We had a late restart. He's starting, I think, fourth. And he just smoked them on the restart. We were not the best car, but he kicked their ass on the restart, and we won a race at Chicago. But I'll never forget that. And ever since that moment, I've always kind of thought he was like the Ron Hornaday for us on restarts. When we need something, he gets it on the restart. And so anyways, going back to the race, we got in trouble speeding. So I had to come back down pit road. We were sitting there in front of the leaders, hoping for a caution, and now we're back on pit road. And we come out on the racetrack 3/4 of a lap down. Mm-hmm. So as we pass the lucky dog, the leader's lapping another car and trapping us a lap down. And
a lap and 3/4 down.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot.
We're 3/4 of a lap down. So we're a lap down plus a 3/4.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of other cars between them.
And to add to the speeding penalty here, I think Jim took responsibility for that, right? Because the lights were aggressive, but they didn't calculate for him rolling through the last section.
I think he's just trying not to be too hard on his driver. Speeding on pit road typically is not anyone else's fault but the driver's. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
Yeah, but Jim's like, well, we didn't call him off. We're supposed to call him off. I don't know. I don't. Jim said they were really aggressive on their lights. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you needed to be aggressive on your lights all night. Now maybe maybe for me, and hey, I ain't never won a championship at the Cup Series, but I have won them in the Xfinity Series. But I'm sitting there thinking we don't have to be aggressive till the end. And maybe there's a different set of lights that you run up, on those first handful of yellows, just so you don't, end up speeding and put yourself behind. He passed everybody in the field, and I could just feel it coming. I'm like, we're gonna get busted for speeding. He's really aggressive on his lights. We passed the whole field, and here we are in a championship-winning position, top 10, and somewhere in the second stage or at the end of the second stage, we're going to have to go back to the back.
Throwing it all away, it seems like.
Yeah. It's the worst penalty you can get.
It is. And so I'm like, gosh, man, why don't we just dial it all back one light? But they were aggressive, hard on pit road as far as pushing the lights and pushing the speed. And if they're going to do it that way, maybe they do need those protocols in place to be calling the driver off, and they didn't do it. he sped through another section right before you get to the box. And then Kelly is like, man, what do we do? Do we go home?
Because, I mean, where's your head at in this point? Because that feels like the nail in the coffin.
So, for me, it's just like when I go to watch the Commanders play. Win or lose, I ain't leaving till the end. They can get blown out. I'm not going to get up in the third quarter and say, well, I'm going to head on home. And so we flew all the way out there. And I need to go at the end of the race when it's over and put my arm around Justin and go, damn good effort, win or lose, right? And, I think considering what was at stake, I definitely wanted to stick it out. But I wasn't sure that it was – I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, man, I knew we were still in it. But I was sitting there just kind of wondering how it could play out. When we got in that scenario, I'm thinking in my head, what do we need to happen here? How could we get back how could we get back on a lead lap? We ran long. Everybody starts cycling to pit road, and the caution come out, and here we are on the lead lap because we stayed out. We got a fortunate break where somebody had some trouble on the racetrack, and that was just, pure luck. Now we're back. Yeah, now we're back in the race.
Got that sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And nice and warm now.
One thing I think people forget, we come down pit road, we put on brand new right side tires, we put the 8-lap left side tires on that we took off that we thought we had a flat left rear that has no lettering on it. So he's got a unique little situation there with the used lefts. It's not perfect, but he had to go out there and, be aggressive on restarts. We got really lucky. The 21 got up in the 21 kind of bottled them up there in the top of 3 and 4 and was pinned the 00 up high and allowed Justin to go through. And from there on, he just had to kind of hustle it and get to the finish line. One of the things I think Justin was most disappointed about is not winning the race. But I could tell with the way the 98 was racing that if we went down in the turn and pinned on his door, he was absolutely gonna. There would be not there, maybe not even on purpose. I just think he's going into the corner, and he said it. I think himself. He was willing to move the 7 if necessary to win. And so, are you gonna allow him? Are you gonna trust him to move you without wrecking you? With everything that is just around the corner?
Just let him go, right?
And that's kind of what...
Big picture.
Yeah. Eddie DeHaan, the spotter, said, hey, man, we're not racing him. Yeah. We're not racing him. I think the 98 makes the pass either way and wins the race no matter what we choose to do. But that was a pivotal moment, I think, going down into 3 where Justin was like, Justin was just like, I got it. I get it. But we were able to come off the corner and get the checkered and come in second place.
Been a lot easier if you had that did that on pit road. Oh, I got it here. Just take it easy.
Well, pretty incredible moment.
It was.
What was your first emotion? Was it elation or relief?
Oh, pro, man. I mean, it just finally, just finally.
Like a big exhale.
There's we as a company are good enough to win championships. And so there's that sort of relief and all right, we did it. We're the best organization today. And then, immediately I think it goes to Justin. I got pretty emotional, to be honest with you, standing right on the I climbed right over pit wall and started getting pretty emotional in that moment, just thinking about Justin and how hard we have stood on that pit road multiple times in the last 5 years, broken down, just hurt and not. I don't know what to say to this guy to get him to. What I need Justin to do is get over this and let's try again. Let's try to do it next year. Mm-hmm. I know this hurts, and you trying again, but that's. As an owner, you're like, all right, man, I know this sucks, but I need you to come back and give it another hard effort, and it is not easy. So when these drivers, you can hear it in some of the comments that some of the Cup guys make. When they know they're good enough, when they know their cars are good enough, when they know they're having the season long effort and performance that's good enough, and it doesn't work out, it's breaking. The way the format is lined up, it is so detrimental mentally on some of the drivers when things don't go well, to be eliminated in some of the ways that they are eliminated by some of the circumstances. It is almost impossible for them to overcome. Go back to Carl Edwards.
2016.
Yeah. If everything else, if something else were to happen, all right, if Carl Edwards wins a championship or runs second, do you think he retires? Do you think he walks away from the sport?
Maybe not.
I think that, certainly there may be other variables, but what happened that night was so heartbreaking and almost impossible to regroup from or turn your back on, or and so the drivers will tell you, man, it's like it's tough to accept some of the things that happen to you in this format. When you're having a season-long run to the championship and it just isn't in the cards, and you've got weeks to realize, man, it's out of reach. That's different. But when you're sitting there thinking, man, we've got the team to beat, and you get smacked in the face in that last round and don't get to Phoenix, it's tough to freaking think, man, I've got to go try this all over again. And
it's like a year away.
It's like climbing Everest.
Again,
to try to get to the top. It is hard. And you've got to have all these circumstances that you don't control.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't control. You got a guy that ran 16th in the regular season points that you never thought was going to be a threat to you. That is now the champion.
Yeah.
And so if you're Reddick or any of those guys that felt like, man, I really felt pretty good about my chances, you never saw that coming. And so that was the tough thing with Justin, and same with Elliott Sadler when he lost at Homestead.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I saw him on pit road, and I thought, I'm never going to be able to get him back to where he needs to be to try to do this again.
He said on this show how difficult that moment was.
Yeah. And so that's what I've been dealing with or worried about with Justin over the years. And so finally I got emotional standing there thinking, God, this guy finally got it. This is
I did too.
The greatest thing about sports is these kind of moments. And I know I'm biased. Absolutely, I accept it. But that was a happy, that was a storybook movie ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's going to run some more and he's going to try to win some more races. And, hey, maybe he wins another championship before he's done. But he doesn't need anything else. He can finally sit there and go, I don't really have anything else that I haven't accomplished that I want. And so now I think the guy just gets to go and have fun and finish this thing out on his terms.
Is that almost more dangerous now?
No,
of Justin Allgaier?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
He's not going to try any less.
No, I know, but now the
trying harder.
Pressure's off. Like, you saw Chase.
No.
It took forever for him to get his first win.
No.
The dominoes fall.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's any different.
This dude goes to every race for the rest of his life.
The same.
Just sitting in his head, he's kicked back on a beach thinking about nothing but getting a suntan. I mean, they ain't nothing. He got nothing to worry about. Which that's what I think. But, people are different. Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion. In those last couple of years, I was floored with how perplexed and disgruntled and frustrated and he was like, I got to figure this out. He was his gears were grinding over the performance of his final few full-time years. And I'm like, you're a 7-time champion. Who gives a shit? Like, who fucking cares? Like, just have fun. He's like, I think me and Chad ought to split up. What do you think? And I'm like, don't. You got this legacy together. Just finish it out. It might, y'all might not be getting along all that great, but just end it together. Why?
mean, how many do you need?
You're chasing something for the last 2 years, and you're gonna bust up this.
Have fun.
Yeah. 7-time champ, man. You've done it. You've done it.
You did it, dude.
Yeah.
Pretty much every race you can win.
Yeah.
He's won numerous times.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. How nervous were you that Justin Allgaier was going to retire on the spot on the stage?
You know, I will be
because Justin. I was talking to him yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, I remember seeing Dale kind of move Marty Snyder out of the way to see my face."
That's not true. That's not true. I'll be completely honest, man. When he started talking about that, I was like, if he retires right now, it. Maybe that's all right. I'm fine with that. I mean, of course I want him to keep racing for us, but if it's his choice.
Yeah.
If he was ready to surprise me and the rest of the world with that news, maybe he'd talk to his wife and said, "Hey, I'm done. If we win it tonight," and she's like, "Great. All right, I'm behind it." Whatever. We don't know. I don't know if they'd had that conversation. So he started saying something about retiring, and I'm like, maybe he's going to retire right here. That'd be interesting.
That'd be a moment.
Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't have been really shocked. Honestly, when he started saying it, I was like, I could totally see this. And, glad he didn't, but.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think it'd have been cool if he did for him because most of the time,
most
people.
Yeah, I wasn't freaking out about it.
The sport quits.
Okay.
The sport will quit you before you're ready to quit the sport for most of these people.
Yeah.
So that's what he chose to do.
That's what makes it cool.
If
trying to retire
that's what
on
he
top.
chose to do, I mean, you can't. I mean, it'd be great for him if he did.
Yeah. Well, he's chosen not to. He's got a couple more years or more. He can run this however long he wants. But I think pretty cool.
And you're giving that flag to Rick Brandt?
I already gave it to Rick. So the flag's here right behind TJ. I had the flag all the way to the end of the night. I'm getting ready to leave. Saw Rick Brandt. And he said, "Hey, man." We were talking, and I said, "Do you want this?" He goes, "Can I have it?" I was like, "Why not? Absolutely. You need it." Rick Brandt has patiently funneled tons of support monetarily and personally into this company, Junior Motorsports, and behind Justin Allgaier throughout the majority of his career. And he has witnessed all of the ups and all of the downs and all of the missed opportunities in the final championship points race. But he's done it patiently, without complaint. And he's never wavered on his support. So in terms of, a partner and a sponsor, as good as they come. And I was like, "Hey, if you want this flag, take it." And so his daughter came over here yesterday for our beer toast. It was actually a champagne toast. I said, "Why are we doing champagne? We drink beer." And Kelly's like, "It's before lunch." All right.
Never stopped me before.
I know. I'm like, I don't know.
And?
I'm not sure if I follow. But so she brought it. She said, "I'm going to bring it back, and I can't take it home. I'm going on commercial flight, so it's going to stick."
That would have been so awesome.
Now it's back.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
back.
This flag is a mind of its own.
Kelly emailed me yesterday. She's just like, "Where is the flag? I want to make sure it's in a safe place." I'm like, "Don't worry. We've got it." This is a very important part of this championship is that flag.
I will say the toughest part of the night, all right, even more nerve-wracking than when we got the two the two penalties back-to-back.
Okay.
Was when I lost my bag right at the end of the night.
Your backpack?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
So I had my
I didn't know that.
backpack
Jeez.
because it had my NASCAR hoodie in it.
Oh, you gotta find that.
I had
Good luck, Charlie.
I had my backpack. It had my iPad. It had a couple snacks and my NASCAR hoodie and some charging cables.
Yeah, irreplaceable.
And
irreplaceable.
Yeah. And it was on the pit box with me. Well, when we went in the race, I'm like,
you forget
all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go do everything we go do over to Victory Lane. I mean, this is a couple hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go to Media Center. We do all of that. So now
damn near broke the Media Center door with that flag.
Yeah. I did it here too.
And here too.
We go back over. I said, and Kelly, and then we get done with the Media Center, and Kelly and them was like, "All right, y'all ready to go?" And I'm like, no, we got to get us a room in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
I knew they were never going to stay, but I was just I kept needling Kelly and LW. They're old. They wanted to hold me.
If it were up to you would have stayed?
Yeah.
Damn.
I was like, where are we going to stay in Scottsdale? We got to go
to Patty's.
We got to go hang out.
Local bar.
Drink a bar. Yeah, drink a beer. And I knew they were not going to do it. I kept poking fun at them. And they're like, no, we got to go home. Let's go. And we should probably go. It's getting late. I'm like, we got to go over to the car. They're tearing the car down. We got to go over to see the team. They're tearing the car down. We go over there, and I'm looking at the car, and all talking to everybody, and everybody's high-fiving. And everybody's hanging out. And then I said, all right, y'all ready? We had another beer, and I said, okay, finally, let's go. So we start walking to the rental car, and I'm like, freaking A, where's my bag? I mean, it's like 5 hours now since
your
I've
heart
left
has
it.
to, like, your stomach has to
It's
drop
not a
in
fun-
that moment.
it's not a fun
the
feeling.
worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Well, the pit box is already folded up into a nice little tiny box, like a transformer.
Right.
And it's up in the front of an 18-wheeler trailer, tied down, covered up,
Oh, no.
with about 6 other pit boxes in there behind it. We kind of shimmied up in there and tried to peek in there with flashlights the best we could. And I'm doing that find my phone thing.
And you're,
where I'm
like,
trying
listening?
to make it. Yeah. And we can't hear it. It's not doing nothing. But I keep seeing that it's at the tunnel. It's like pinging at the tunnel on the inside of the racetrack. And so I walk over there, and I'm standing there, and there's a truck with a guy sitting in it. But otherwise, nothing around. And it's like, man, it's telling me it's right here. And we go over to the guy. You got a backpack? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so we're like, okay, he don't have a backpack. I kind of peeked in the bed of the truck, no backpack. And so
You didn't take his word.
yeah, hell no. And so it says it's right here.
Yeah.
So
You have it.
Yeah.
Nice truck.
I'm looking for this thing up in the hauler. We're looking for it for about an hour. Finally, this car pulls in, and it's some folks that were with Brant.
Mm.
And they were like, we got your bag, Junior. I knew it was yours. Had these stickers on it.
Uh-huh.
My little late model stocks. And I was like, all right. And I was so relieved that they had it.
Saved
Was it
the
on
day.
the track? Like, was it not in the tunnel? Was it on the track?
It was in their car.
Oh.
They were pulling into the
So
tunnel.
Find My iPhone was just wrong.
Nope, it was right.
Oh.
My phone was telling me that this was at the tunnel.
Oh,
On the inside of the
Brand
racetrack.
guys were there.
The Brant guys come.
Got it.
They were driving around looking for me, and it was a
They
mess.
couldn't find you with the flag?
Yeah. But I was so relieved.
We have the champion in the house.
All right, there he is.
Justin Allgaier, straight from the sim, like the work never stops, and he's here.
What's up, Justin? How you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you today?
Doing good. What are you simming?
Rockingham. I actually go there tomorrow. We're going to make laps for the Goodyear tire test tomorrow. So, 2024 was kind of short-lived. Winning a championship, I got Monday to celebrate and back to work today, and obviously going in to get back on the racetrack tomorrow. So, Rockingham's obviously an iconic racetrack. Cool to get it back on the NASCAR schedule, and now I've just got to go out and figure out what this new asphalt's going to be like and what we need to do for tires with Goodyear and go have some fun.
What did Sim feel like?
Well, Sim is still the old surface, right? So it's the scan from many, many years ago where the track still has a lot of character, a lot of bumps. We will not get to be able to scan it for a little bit here, kind of moving forward. So, we're kind of guessing a little bit in some ways, unfortunately, but all of the manufacturers, all of the teams all kind of have the same, we're all hand-tied kind of the same. We all have the same models to deal with. So, I think at this point, for us now, we just have to kind of go out and figure out what the track's going to be like. You've tire tested, you've tested by yourself a lot. When you're out there with 2 or 3 or, if there's less than 10 cars, depending on if there's trucks or ARCA or whoever's there, you're still kind of guessing because over the course of the day, the track's going to change significantly. And here in North Carolina, it's not warm by any stretch. So, when you add a cold racetrack to a freshly paved racetrack, it's going to have a lot of grip. So, we're guessing a little bit, but at the same time, these engineers and obviously the teams and Goodyear have done this so many times that it just becomes like, old hat, and they know what to do, and it will be great by the time we go back there and race next spring.
You're going to dial it back a little bit for me? Just kind of run about 80%?
That is the plan to start with.
Don't go out there trying to set no records.
Yeah, listen, I tried that at Phoenix, twice during the race, and it penalized me. So we'll leave that to the other guys that are going to be there, and we're going to go out and try to get the best data we can.
So you've had a couple days to let the championship sink in. I was with you Saturday night, and I know how emotional that was. And when did you kind of finally catch your breath? Because as soon as you get out of the car, you're just swarmed by all the people that want to congratulate you. That doesn't let up until later that night. When did you finally kind of get to catch your breath and really just personally take a moment to yourself and think about what you'd accomplished?
Honestly, I don't know that I ever really did. It was such a whirlwind of emotions, right? And for me, I didn't expect to be as emotional post-race. I mean, I'm an emotional person, but at the same time, like, I didn't expect to be as emotional post-race. The one that really got me, though, was seeing Harper, and she was crying, and to see my mom and dad and their faces, that was it was a unique, surreal experience. And we went through the Victory Lane celebration, and then we went out to the barn, and man, they were partying. I mean,
I missed it. I wanted to see the barn.
It was incredible. It was wide open. It was one of the coolest experiences post-race you've ever seen. And so then we come back, we do some more photos, then we went to the media center, and then we left the media center and went straight to the back straightaway and took all of our photos, with the trophy and with my wife and kids and my parents. And that was a really special moment. And then we got back to the hotel room at maybe 1:30, 2 a.m. And then we were on a 7 a.m. flight. So I got back up at 4. And, of course I can't go to sleep, right? I lay down in bed and I can't go to sleep. And I think when I went to bed, I was at 400 and something text messages that I was trying to figure out what to do with. I can't text somebody back at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So I'm trying to read through, as much as I can in my mind, and I'm looking at social media. And then I finally went to bed about 2:45, 3 o'clock, got back up at 4, we went to the airport, got on the plane. Kids, I mean, Dale, you've traveled with kids. I don't know how my kids did it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how they survived, but they rocked it. And then got home, and really just, we went back to dad mode. You got kids got, school the next day, and you got homework to do, and I'm at 680 text messages at the moment. And to be honest with you, I'm overwhelmed, and I don't even know how to start responding back to people, and I haven't started yet. And I know that that's not ideal. But if anybody that's listening has texted me or called me, it's not for lack of effort to get back to you. I'm just overwhelmed with even where to even start.
All right, this is how you do it. So you text the first person back and say, "Thanks a lot, buddy. It was incredible." Write something really eloquent, and then you copy and you paste that 600 times. But make sure.
I think you know me well enough to know that that's not my style. That's the hard part.
totally acceptable in this circumstance. You need to respond to everybody. It's just asking too much for you to craft a unique response to each individual person. The only other advice I would say, so absolutely okay to text and copy and paste it. Totally okay.
Okay.
No one is going to go compare notes. Hey, what did he text you? He texted you the same. What an ass. So nobody's going to do that. Only thing I would say is don't call your mom buddy. All right? If you get a text from any females in your family, aunts or what have
Nobody.
Yeah. You got to write that will require a unique individual response. But
that is actually very, very sound advice. I do really like that.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I won the Daytona 500 in 2014 and 2003, and I never got that many text messages. You deserve it. I'll be honest with you. I had Daytona text messages on my phone from you winning the championship somewhere in the 300 range. So 600 is
I do have a question.
600 is a new record.
I have a question for you. And I've really thought about this long and hard, and I know what you said in the media center. I know you said it yesterday at the shop, but you were very adamant that you didn't care about winning the Owners' Championship, and that you wanted to see me win the Drivers' Championship, and I'm very appreciative of that. But now that you've had time to think about it, does it make it any better? Does it make it any more special for you that we won the Owners?
Yeah. So we were on the racetrack after your burnout, hugging you, waving the flag, high-fiving the team, doing all of that stuff right there. And then you got in the car, and we made sure that everything was good with the girls, and you were going to drive around the track. We started walking over toward the pit wall to go to Victory Lane, and somebody said, "Y'all got the Owners Championship." And I was like, "No shit." And they were like, "Yeah." And I said, "I didn't know I didn't even know so we finished ahead of the 20. Is that all we needed to do?" Like, is the Owners Championship just like the Drivers, where I know you got 4 drivers and the one that finishes the best wins the championship? Is that the way the Owners works too in that last race?
Yeah, same way. And so
that
the double zero wasn't in on Owners because the 20 bumped him out.
So you just had to. So you had a whole different group of teams to beat, and
yes.
I don't even know that. That tells you how much it matters to me. So I was thankful that we did win that, because Kelly, it matters to her, it matters to you, and but for me, I like that we can add that to the accolades for the evening, but really it doesn't matter. Nobody in the fans, nobody in the grandstand. I mean, look, what I mean is it does not relate or compare to the driver and whose car that driver was driving. In my mind as a fan, and I assume that a lot of people in the grandstands think the same way, when you win the race in a junior motorsports car, we're fucking happy, right? We're not going to go, "That's great, but we're not Owners champions." I mean, it's just a neat accolade. It's cool. It's kind of a foregone conclusion in the Cup Series that the owner and the champion are kind of tied together, right? In the Xfinity Series, it's different because we have cars like the 20 that has a lot of all-stars in it and so forth. So that's kind of a unique thing to the Xfinity Series. But I never even, like, I guess you helped us win our first Owners Championship.
Yeah.
People keep saying that. I didn't even know if that was true. I'm the owner. I don't even know if we've won the Owners Championship.
I didn't know it until they told me. So when we made it into the Owners Championship, I wanted to get in, and that was part of my deal at Martinsville. We win the race, and I win the Owners and the Drivers, and then they told me in the media center that was the first Owners that you guys had ever won, and I just assumed that, especially with Chase, I just assumed that you guys had won the Owners as well. And
I had too.
Yeah, I didn't know. So that was a big moment for me, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed that. So but I will say the boys over at DBC did burn me down yesterday for not trying to race the 98 harder and win the race. So I am getting my kahunas busted a little bit for not winning the race.
The 98, he has said, he's come out in the media and said that he was willing and ready to move you if necessary.
I don't think you have to worry about the guy that said it, Justin. He was the only one. I would have made the same decision you did. So
listen, when DeHaan started hollering, "We're not racing him," I was like, and I saw like how things played out. I was like, "Oh, thank God!" I was like, because Justin, if it was all you by yourself, you would have drove down into 3 right on his door, doing everything you could to win the actual race, because that's your. That's your MO.
That was my intention.
Yes, sir.
Was my intention,
I know you. And I'm like, all right, I'm okay with him not doing it in this case, because honestly, the 98 is going to send it in there. You remember, what it would have been? It would have been the exact same thing with the 88 and the 00 that happened in front of you, down in that corner. 98 is going to get down in there. He's going to lose the back. He's coming up, and whether you get wrecked or not is not something I'm willing to risk.
Right.
So hey,
I agree with that.
I'm happy for them and happy for us, but what's the
whole world worked out?
It did. So post Rockingham test, what's the rest of the season look like?
I got shoulder surgery on Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday morning, I go get my shoulder fixed, and I don't really know what the recovery is going to be like from that. I've heard anywhere from feeling really crappy for a couple of days, and then obviously going through rehab and all that's pretty painful. But then other people are like, oh man, you're going to be out for the majority of the off season, and I hope that's not the case. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. But then we got the banquet next week and get to celebrate, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't been to the banquet since 2017 ish, whatever the last year Junior Motorsports won a championship was the last time I went to the banquet. And it's weird. I feel a little bit. I'm a little bit sad. They took the banquet to Vegas and they celebrated in Vegas for a couple of years, and then we moved it to Nashville and celebrated in Nashville, all these really cool destination places, and then this year they moved it back to Charlotte. So I guess it's only fitting that we'd go back, we'd come home and get to go downtown Charlotte like we can every Friday or Saturday night if we want to during the off season. So, but still though, honestly, to be able to go to the banquet, to celebrate with the other two champions and the teams and all the industry folks, that's a moment that I think for me, that's a moment that I've kind of waited my entire career for. I've been lucky enough to be at all these banquets and give speeches for second or third or fourth or sixth or whatever. I remember I finished third in points to Carl and Brad one year, and right before we do the banquet, we do all the speeches, we do all that stuff, and right before we go back to the next season, they're like, all right, we're going to make the rule that Cup drivers can't race for an Xfinity Series championship anymore. And I'm like, can we retrograde this like one season right here? Can we go back like 6 months ago so I can just win a championship, because that would be great. But that's just not how it used to be, and so I've sat through these and we've been so close so many times and just haven't been able to do it. And I have all these things that I want to say at the championship award ceremony, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to let me have a microphone long enough. And y'all know me well enough to know that I can talk, so that's not an issue. I just don't know how to say thank you enough to everybody that's given me the opportunity and helped me get to this point in my career. Because it's taken way longer than it should have to get here. But I'm not going to let that spoil how much I enjoy it and how much it means to me and my family.
If anything, it makes it more meaningful, because it's like Dale Earnhardt is one of the best restricted plate racers in the sport, but it took him 20 years to win the Daytona 500, and it really was a special day when that happened because of how hard it was to get there. And on the banquet ending up in Charlotte, while Vegas is a blast and Nashville was an absolute great match for us, I am 100% on board with us embracing Charlotte as our hub. It's where the Hall of Fame is. I have no problem with us celebrating the biggest night of the series or even our Cup champion in that city because of the history and the uniqueness and the location of our sport and kind of how close we are tied to it. So it makes good sense to me. But yeah, my Amy and maybe all the wives and some of the other people in the industry are going to miss Vegas and going to miss Nashville. But I'm sure, hey, at some point down the road we'll end up back there eventually. But it'll be cool to celebrate it in Charlotte, where we all.
I'm gonna tell you, the Hall of Fame doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
Yeah.
I know you're a history of the sport type of person. I am too, and for me, I think that so they came and got my gloves, so my gloves are going into the Hall of Fame as kind of a permanent display, right? Like they get to keep those, and then they put kind of all my driver's gear in for the next year, right? And I got to thinking about that, and I told them when they were up there on stage and we took our photo together, how much I appreciated, the curation of the history of the sport, right? And to be able to celebrate with all of that is going to be a really, really cool experience for me. And I've been to the Hall of Fame hundreds of times, right? But to be able to go there and take my kids there and have a piece of history in that building is gonna be really special. So I agree with you. It is weird thinking about driving to the banquet and being a 30-minute trip to get to the banquet, but at the same time, it's going to be really special.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for calling in today, man. I know you've been busy. I know you got a long week, and have some fun at Rockingham. Hopefully, maybe some people can get out there and climb up in the stands and watch some laps. I think there'll be 2 or 3 of you out there practicing Wednesday tomorrow for the upcoming race later this year or next year. I'm sorry, but I'll see you soon, bud.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
See you, man. Congrats.
See you, TJ. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about safety culture. You may know Safety Culture's logo from Shane Van Gisbergen's car, but Safety Culture is more than just a sponsor. It's also the workplace operations tool for the Trackhouse Racing team. And what does that actually mean? Well, the team uses Safety Culture's app to manage everything from pre-race inspections on the car to assembly checks, and they even do some of their training on the app. Every race team has an incredible amount of individuals that maybe don't even travel to the racetrack, work back at the shop, that are a big part of the success of that race team, preparing cars, getting them ready to go to the racetrack and run these races and try to win checkered flags and ultimately championships. No matter what you're trying to achieve, no one has time to waste. From construction sites to factory floors, Safety Culture is designed to drive improvements not just in safety, but broadly across quality and efficiency too. Are you ready to put your workplace in the pole position? Well, head to safetyculture.com/SVG. He's a good dude. Awesome to have him call in and give us a little bit of time. I think people will be excited about that, the fact that they're going to test.
Already.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Just out of it.
that feels old school to me.
It does.
Right? Win a championship, right back to work. So pretty cool.
He's a good dude.
He is a good dude. He's a great guy.
That's
How long
what
has he
makes it
been
feel
here?
good.
How
Huh?
long has Justin been here?
It feels like 15 years. I don't know.
Long time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anyhow, maybe it was 7 or 8, 10, something like that. We want to make an acknowledgement, I think, before we wrap up the Dirty Air segment on the passing of Bobby Allison, 86 years old, 1983 Cup champion, 85 race wins. They just gave him that win at Greenville Pickens from many, many years ago. And the 2011 Hall of Fame class inductee. I talked about this in the media a little bit, and I'll share it here. When my dad, as we did research, and I kind of already knew this, but it helped me understand it even more, as we did research for the Becoming Earnhardt Series for 1979, and as I started to research a little bit from 1980, there was a couple of people that my dad credited many times in articles with being helpful to him throughout those 2 years of his first Cup career seasons was Donnie Allison, Bobby Allison. Those two names kept coming up over and over. And there's a lot of pictures of Dad and Bobby communicating, talking, hanging out. As I got older and I started paying more attention, Dad and Bobby always sort of had a kinship or a relationship, closeness. And Dad became great friends with Neil Bonnet, part of the Alabama gang. But they all, kind of, had a lot of respect for each other and were relatively close friends. When Bobby was injured tragically at Pocono, that was I remember Dad talking a lot about that and how upsetting that was for Dad as his friend. And I just remember that as a kid when you're young, whatever your dad labels important or labels as valuable, you in turn sort of establish that same appreciation and respect for it. And so that instilled that for me in Bobby Allison. As I got older, and certainly in the last 20 years, anytime you run into this guy, incredibly nice. I'm thinking, at his age, what else does he have to, give to this sport? What else could he want to, how and what way would he want to participate? And sometimes when drivers retire, you never see them again. They don't know how to continue to be an asset. They just don't feel like they belong or have a role or a job at the racetrack anymore, and so it's tough to be there. I don't think it's so much that they don't want to be there. It's just they don't know how to be when they're no longer the driver that they've been all those years. And I was at Dover one of the less common, unique racetrack, less celebrated racetracks on the circuit. Just a regular weekend in the grind of the season at Dover, and I was my first year as a broadcaster in 2018. I was getting on, I think, the elevator to go up to the booth to get ready for a practice session or qualifying or something, and Bobby Allison climbed on the elevator, and I thought, hey, what are you doing here? I mean, of all the places you could be, and he's there doing some work or helping a sponsor or a partner or something for NASCAR. And I just really found that, I've really appreciated that about him. All these years, well beyond his driving career, him and several other of the old guard continue to, keep us connected to our roots and our past, and just them being, but just by them being visible at the racetrack, not only keeps their history alive, but it keeps us connected to the roots of the sport and the history of the sport and what happened on the racetrack all those years ago. And so I've always really appreciated that about Bobby. And I mean, what an incredible life, certainly filled with some tragedy, and how him and his family were able to get through some of those moments I'll never know. I don't know a family that has given more to the sport of NASCAR than the Allisons have, but he will be celebrated, and we should all be thankful for what he was able to do and the mark he left. This week's segment was brought to you by Tire Pros. There are a few people who love the cars as much as I do, but these tire and service experts, they equally love the drive. The Dirty Air segment's been sponsored by Tire Pros throughout the year. They've been a great partner here at Junior Motorsports, and they're not just going to change your tires. They do it all, oil changes, alignments to brakes. Tire Pros gives your vehicle the TLC it deserves. Unique to Tire Pros is that they are owned by the men and women in your community. They have the added support of resources of over 600 locations nationwide, so the next time you need to take your car in, show your neighbors some love, your neighbors at your local Tire Pros. All right, we're live here at the Dirty Mo Media studio, and I'm Dale Jr., and with me is TJ Majors for the Ask Junior segment of the show, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. How you doing, TJ?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's been a fun show so far. We've had a lot to talk about, and the one thing I do want to say is we want to thank Xfinity Mobile for everything they've done for us here at Junior Motorsports at the Dale Jr. Download, Dirty Mo Media. They've been a great partner, and we've been talking about their Xfinity Mobile service. It's thousands and thousands of Wi-Fi hotspots all across the country, giving you all of the access and coming in clutch anytime you need that service to be able to watch NASCAR or whatever it is on your phone on the go. Xfinity Mobile is always going to be there. They're a proud premier partner of NASCAR, and we want to thank them for everything they do for us here. And obviously for taking care of the Xfinity Series. We need those title sponsors. They really keep the thing moving, keep the whole machine moving. And they're so any of the title sponsors that have been a part of the sport over the years, we all should be very thankful for, and Xfinity's been a great one. We got some questions lined up, and we've had a great show so far. I just want to say that Joe Logano is going to call in here in a bit. Justin Allgaier's been on. This part of Ask Junior will not be on Thursday's show. It's going to live on the Tuesday episode coming out today. But let's get to the questions.
Yes. This first question coming from Ben. This is a big moment that happened in the Cup race on Sunday. Any advice for the pace car driver to not crash the next time we go to Phoenix?
Well, listen. So I saw that, and when the pace car is leading the field and he's going to go to pit road, one of the coolest things that you might, one of the great things that I loved about a broadcast, especially with Ken Squire, was they would say the pace car dives on the pit road. Right. The pace car doesn't just gradually ease to
list into pit road.
Yeah, just
meander.
Yeah. It dives on the pit road, right?
It dove.
Well, listen, I appreciate the effort, and that
just didn't stick the landing.
It needs to be a deliberate move, right?
Yes.
It has to be a deliberate move, but you also need to know how to drive a car, right? It also is important to understand the laws of gravity and physics. And
physics.
Yeah, I mean, look, I busted my ass plenty of times. I'm I'm not perfect, but it needs to be a deliberate move. It needs to be, like to your point, it can't be a meandering sort of.
The pace car can't meander the pit road.
It's got to be a deliberate move. But you also, he maybe needs to take a course, right? Go out,
driving course,
driving course
cones
with
out on the
cones,
track. Yeah.
Take that specific car though, so you can learn really.
Just do a bunch of reps.
Yeah, so you can really understand the lateral grip and the limits that this car has.
The limits.
Well,
Tire test. Bring it to Rockingham.
Look, it was like, it's like you the guy's no stranger to driving cars.
Yeah.
But it was like he was driving that one for the first time, or it was like he was just taken aback by, he expected more, and the car just didn't deliver. So
it's a setup thing, maybe.
Yeah, I think you take that car. They got all kinds of weight in the back, all that batteries and stuff for those lights and everything. There's a bunch in that car that it's not going to drive exactly like a stock car, and so seriously, man, you got to take that thing out and drive it a little bit so that don't happen again.
You think NASCAR takes
Warm the
it
tires up
and tears it down to see what the issue was?
Yeah.
Put it on the DVP.
Yeah.
So this is like in the Red Bull soapbox races.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
The people build those things, right? And the first time they drive it is down that
hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometime I think the first time they drive it, and the first time it really goes through the rigors of. This can't be the way we are with the pace car. Mm-hmm. You got to get in there and drive it. Does he need to go and do some donuts in the parking lot just to kind of understand where the level of grip's at?
Get his confidence back a little bit. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so, there's a little racetrack out next to Vegas. When they go to Vegas, go out there and just try to spin it out there.
Yeah.
Try to bust your ass a few times.
We've got rid of practice. I think we need to bring practice back.
That's what it is.
It's more practice time.
Yes.
TJ, you saw all this.
We had more practice time there.
Yes, we did.
So
but did you see all this go down?
I
from the
saw
roof?
it go down.
I got to say, though, all things considered, that is a tricky corner. I mean, I was running. What race was it? I busted my ass in front of the field there one time. Just nicked the apron and just brought me right around. And so maybe that transition's a little funky.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
I think when you did it, it was the old layout more though.
Yeah, maybe.
And it was a little trickier because there was a bump over there in 4.
Yeah.
But
Well,
hey, interesting moment.
Did Brad see it, or did you relay
Yeah,
it
a
to
lot
him?
of the drivers saw it, and they were like,
man.
the
The
pace
radio
car just,
chatter was pretty funny.
the pace car just wrecked it. I'm like, I see that.
he's gonna catch hell. He's gonna catch hell. We don't need to pile on.
Oh
No.
no.
But
We're
I'm
thankful.
serious, man. I'm serious. Look, if they come up to you and go, "Hey, man, you're gonna throw the pitch out at the game. You're going to the Kannapolis.
Oh, you're warming up.
Yeah,
You're getting ready.
You're not gonna walk up there and just the first.
Cold shoulder, just chuck it down.
Now,
there.
I don't think this was like a grand marshal or someone new driving the pace car.
No.
I think it was just a quick moment where, like, oh crap! Wait, we're going up. We're diving up. It's a little late.
I agree with his. It has to be
Check
deliberate.
your marks.
The deliberate move has to be made, but there
Yeah.
it's so weird because you have a whole nother straightaway and half of a corner to run before you even get there.
And
so
maybe
is
that-
it really that big of a deal there?
Maybe that pit road entrance is hard because if you want to make your mark and really dive off, you're kind of already going straight. You know, maybe that was it.
Yeah, we made. I made that. I talked about this earlier in the show. So if you want to know, if you want to reference, you can go there. But I made an iRacing post about how we're trying to curate a playlist or a soundtrack for the new upcoming console game for NASCAR through iRacing.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve O'Donnell texted me and said, we should have Enter Sandman in honor of the pace car driver. That's
good.
Past weekend.
That is
Steve
great.
O'Donnell.
Good one,
Great
Steve.
sense of humor.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. So next question.
Yes, next question. And we are running a little bit on time, but this is not the last Ash Junior that we'll be doing this year. So just keep the questions coming. I see all of them, but this next question coming from Brian. You talked to Truex on Saturday, I think it was. What did you say to him? Obviously, it was his final full-time race in the 19.
I just told him that. So I sent him a text message. I tweeted or put a post on Instagram, and I saw him in person. And I think my overriding opinion is, that I have been a fan of his. I have cheered him on his entire career, and he's never made me question my allegiance or loyalty. And I've always appreciated the friend he's been. Now he's at communication. He is terrible at text messages. And if you don't, you might not hear from him for damn months. He's that kind of friend, right? But you'll see him at the hunting lodge and like nothing,
Yep.
like it's all good. But that's just who he is. That's who he is. And I've talked to his brother about it. He's no different to anybody else. He just is not a great communicator. And, hey, I don't know. That's who he is. But I don't want to harp on that. I just was like, yeah, man, have some fun. He doesn't seem like it's an emotional thing for him. And I do know he's going to race some more. So he knows he's going to be right back in the car before when the season. I think he's running the Daytona 500 for somebody. So, I don't think it's as emotional of a. It's not like a hard stop, and so he's. You could tell over the last 3 or 4 years he's been kind of debating, contemplating this, and he's kind of at this point in his life where he's like, "There's a lot of shit that I love to do, and it was racing alone, and now there's other things in that bag," and he's like, "Man, I kind of. I mean, He loves to hunt. He loves to fish. He may not say this because he doesn't want to upset anybody, but he would rather be on that boat fishing than anything else, even racing. And so now he gets to go do that. And he gets to keep racing if he wants. So I'm happy for him. Great dude. And look forward to all the opportunities. It'll be cool because he won't have the stresses of racing. Right or wrong, racing made me a miserable person 90% of the time. Him too. I mean, look, anybody. Ask Kyle Busch. Ask anybody. Like, unless you're winning, you're not happy at all. And you're okay with a good run, but not. For the most part, all the effort it takes just to run good it doesn't weigh out. And it'll be nice maybe to see how he is. He'll be a completely different person now that he doesn't have that grind either in the middle of that grind or that grind ahead in the coming season. Now he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. And he can plan what he wants to do. Be fishing in Florida or up north, depending on the weather and the time of year. He can go and do whatever he wants, where he wants. He has other businesses going on in the background that continue to allow him to have that flexibility. So it'd be cool to see. Because I'm around him during the hunting season, and it's always in the back of the year, and it's always in that stressful part. And so when I'm spending most of my time with him, it's in the tougher part of the year when he's really kind of as miserable as he's going to be. And so it'll be fun to see him kind of loosen up.
You mentioned Joey Logano's calling in. I do not want to keep our newly crowned 3-time champion waiting, so this is a good place to ask Junior.
I appreciate everybody sending in the questions this year. We're going to do some more shows this year. This is, usually this is the last show of the year in our lineup in years past, but this year we're going to keep creating content, keep doing shows throughout the off season. So stay tuned. Amy's going to be a big part of what we're going to do throughout the winter. We'll have some more Ask Junior, so just kind of follow all of our social handles, Dirty Mo Media or mine, to kind of stay abreast of when our shows will be coming out throughout the winter time. But we're going to keep having some fun here at the table up until Christmas, and appreciate everybody, and hope you're having a good week.
And speaking of Joey Logano, he's here.
Joey, what's up?
Cleaned up.
Where are you?
New York City, the Big Apple.
Damn, man. Well, good weather at least.
It is. It's beautiful out.
So, hey, I know you're busy as hell. Thanks for tuning in or giving us a call and giving some of your time today. This is a great opportunity to ask you. Winning the Cup Series championship, and immediately you're swept off into a media frenzy. What's the schedule? Where are you going? Do you even know where you're going to be going over the next several days?
I don't know. I learned I have a lot of bosses. I don't run anything in my life at all. I got a crew chief that tells me what to do on the track and a spotter. I got people away from the racetrack that tell me what to do, and I got a wife that tells me what to do too. So, I'm just along for the ride here, guys. I'm enjoying every second of it, though.
What's the plan today?
I haven't been home yet.
No, you haven't.
No, we went straight from Phoenix. We came here last night into New York City, and we've done the Today Show. That was cool.
Yeah.
And now, I honestly, I don't know where I'm going right now. But I'm going.
All right. How long will you be in New York City? When do you leave there? Later today or tomorrow?
Another great question. We leave tonight, though. Some point tonight.
All right.
I think I'm home around 7 or 8, I think.
Over the 3 times that you've won the championship, which time did you get the most text messages, and how many did you get?
I think probably this one, probably the most. You tend to know more people as you get older. So, probably more this time. I don't know how many it was, because I'm kind of awful at opening text messages sometimes, so there's a lot of them from over the years that are still there. So.
Oh, my God.
I know. It really bugs a lot of people when they see like 800 unread texts. So
That's like my wife. She has 4,000 emails. I'm like, come on.
I get it. Yeah. I'm not proud of it, okay?
Yep. You'll never answer them.
No, I won't.
I told Justin.
I do answer a lot of them. I answer most of them.
I told Justin just to say, hey, thanks, buddy. It was a great night, and just copy and paste.
Yeah. I know, but you want to make it a little bit more personal, right? Like they set the time to send you stuff, so you want to like add something to it.
I know, but I think in this case, it's totally unacceptable to copy and paste. When it's over 150, I think copy and paste is acceptable.
Copy and paste is okay.
But do not copy, hey, buddy, it was a great night, to your mom or any other females in here. Yeah, you got to change, buddy.
You got to be careful too, because you don't want to keep sending the same text message and then 2 people are sitting right next to each other. Saying, he said the same thing to me.
I will take that risk.
He's thinking ahead.
You're taking the risk.
I'll take the risk. All right, so Justin Allgaier won the Xfinity Series championship, and he's already at sim and testing, testing at Rockingham Wednesday. When do you think's the next time you'll be back in a race car?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just so hard for us to go testing. I would go drive a race car tomorrow if I could, because we don't get to drive as much as we used to. So the tests are so valuable. Right? I mean, I look at North Wilkesboro test being the one that turned their season around. So, yeah, if there is one, I would do it. But I don't see anything coming up in the near future where I'll be in anything outside of four-wheelers and go-karts.
Yeah. One last question, man, before we let you go. Winning 3 titles puts you it puts you at a different level. It really does. I mean, 2 titles is pretty special, but when you start really racking them up into the 3, 4, and 5 territory, you're getting toward the peak of the mountain. When you're compared to some of the other greats in the sport. I guess have you had a chance to reflect on that? What winning 3 championships may mean to you?
A little bit. Some of it, I mean, yeah, it's amazing to see your name up there with the greats of the sport. You're like, wow, that's incredible. But at the same time, I guess like leading into the weekend, I knew that was a possibility, but it's not what the driver was. That's not the motivator behind it all. And I guess and you probably understand this with the championship, you guys just won this weekend as well. Like, it means more to me to see the people that you care about celebrate the victory with you, right? Like to see the team celebrating that, seeing their families, seeing my family, like that to me matters more than any of it. Because I think as you get older, you do this longer, your selfish motives change and your motivator becomes wanting others to celebrate with you, right? And have that feeling as well. So it just seems it's changed from the first championship to this one, where the first one, it was just, I wanted it for me. But I think once you understand what that is, you want others to feel that too.
Well, man, I think that, your name is up there with the greats, but you've now become one of them. As a guy who really appreciates the history of the sport and thinks about statistics and how we sort of compare drivers, I put you right up there along with Bobby Allison and Pearson and all of those guys. I know you'd like to win a few more championships, and you've got the runway to go out there and try to accomplish it. But I got to say, not only congratulations on the success on the racetrack, but also over this course of this year and in the past, we, as a personality in the media, I've really gotten to appreciate the access that you give to the media and how you're always available and you're always doing that with a smile on your face. We ask a lot of our drivers. Some of them are very, conservative, but some of them are very giving of their time. But you always have represented the sport well. I really appreciate that. We thank you for giving us some time today on a busy day in New York City, and we hope you have a great trip, bud. Well,
thank you. This words mean a lot. It's we have a really amazing opportunity to keep growing our sport, right, and for generations to come. And because of the drivers before us, the legends before us, they've built this incredible platform for us, and it's our job to continue it. So thank you for doing what you do as well. You don't have to do what you do, that's for sure. So I know I appreciate that, and I'm sure our kids will appreciate it.
All right, bud. Have fun, and we'll talk to you. All right, it's time to do Dirty Mo Dough with Tampa Tim's, taking all the information they can throughout the week to give you the best bets that you can make for the upcoming NASCAR races, and we do other sports as well. Before we get to what went on this past weekend at Phoenix, we have no race to look forward to, but we do got a Thursday night football group parlay, 8:15 on Prime Thursday night football group parlay. All right, the Commanders are playing the Eagles. This is a tough one for me. So I've done some homework. I got a pretty good prop that I want to include, but we're going to go around the room, starting with TJ.
I'm taking Jaden Daniels, 226.5 yards. I'm going to under on that. I just think he struggles tonight.
All right.
They'll win, but he's going to struggle.
I hope he wins. I mean, 226. Looking at Jaden's overall passing yardage, that's probably a pretty solid bet to make, TJ. Of course, I want the Commanders to win. I want them to have a great game. I want them to ball out. But last week was a little bit of a struggle for the team trying to get yardage on in the passing game. So they're going up against, I think, an even better defense than the Eagles. So not a bad prop there, TJ. All right.
I will go with Jalen Hurts over 250 passing plus rushing yards.
All right. Hurts, when I was looking at his passing yardage, kind of similar to Daniels as far as overall yardage, but I really didn't look at his rushing attempts and his yardage on the ground.
He can scramble pretty well. He's close to 50, 60, I think, a game. Well,
wow.
Yeah, his line, I think, is actually 40, but he goes over that a lot.
There you go. Yeah, so I think he can absolutely accomplish that. Do you know what the odds are on that?
That is minus 200 on those.
Minus 200.
Yep.
All right, so that's about right in line with pretty much everything we got here. All right, Dalton, what you got?
I'm going to take Scary Terry to get 4+ reception yards, Terry McLaurin.
I like that.
Or attempts, I'm sorry.
Yeah, four catches. Mm-hmm. 4 or more catches. He's done that 8 out of the last 10 games. Mm-hmm. So that's a solid prop. We'll get to the money line at the end here with Andrew, but I'm going to go with Scary Terry as well. I'm going to do plus 40 yards receiving. That's at minus 290 the last time I checked. But he's hit over 59 yards in the last 4 games against Philly, and he's also hit this 8 of the last 9 games. So, if things are just normal for this team this weekend, I think that's a relatively easy mark for Terry to achieve. If he gets those 4 receptions, he's getting the 40 yards, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So let's go to the money line with Andrew.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the team that is the lovable team, the team that we're all going to want to root for this upcoming Thursday. Give me the Eagles to win the game. That'll be fun, right? To root for them?
No. So in this particular game, I'm not going to bet the money line prop. Yeah,
that's a shame.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
Listen, they are favored to win the game, and I think that it's smart. It's a smart play for you, Andrew, to pick the favorite when we're combining so many unique props into one. I think going with the favorite on the money line is a smart play. But in honor of my Commanders, I just cannot make the bet against them.
You're a good fan.
And so I will sit that one out. I think this is a good moment to say to everyone who's listening, listen, man, when I think all of us, when we're making this prop, we're betting really, really low units. Mm-hmm. This is just for fun. This is just for all of us to kind of have something to talk about. Maybe we get together and watch the game this weekend, or this Thursday, I'm sorry. and to make it even more fun having just a couple bucks on the line. And if you don't believe in any of these props, pull them out. If you don't feel good about something, any of us, it's no shame to pull one of them out. We've seen people on social media responding to these bets, say, "Man, I couldn't get behind that one particular." I didn't know what y'all talking about. We exploded in terrible fashion this past Thursday.
Oh my gosh!
But we worked a little harder on this one. We are not. I'm not an expert, but I feel pretty good about this one. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're gonna talk about what Tampa Tims and the guys did this past weekend at Phoenix, going into the final race of the year. What is unique or different about the betting opportunities for the final race?
Well, the 4 championship drivers are heavily favored. They expect them to run 1 through 4.
Yep.
Christopher Bell had pretty high odds. I think they're expecting a revenge tour for him. I had a terrible week. I went 0 for 7 and then all the bets. Didn't hit one off. Blaney was my big bet there to win the race and the championship. So
it came so close.
That stung, yeah. But I saw a lot of people were hanging on to their championship bets from past weeks, and that was kind of their only action, which I think was a smart way to go into the weekend.
Right on. Is that pretty much the only play for the championship weekend? Is just playing with those four favorites?
I had some long shot top 10s like Hocevar, Cindric, Briscoe, but I mean, it's so tough to judge that race because
Briscoe's a great pick for a top 10 there, considering his past success, but just had a terrible day.
Terrible day. Hocevar was up there, but then he got a bad pit stop, got sent back to 18th. Cindric was up there for a little bit, then he kind of fell apart. So, they just didn't work out. Yeah. It's one of those weeks.
Wow. We don't have a race to preview for next week, but hey, we do got Thursday night football, group parlays still coming up throughout the off season and leading into next year. Dirty Mo Doe will be a big part of what we do here at Dirty Mo Media. So thank you, Tampa Tims, and thank you, Steve Letarte and the whole team, the professor, everybody that put all the work in this year, helping us try to make a little bit of money, have a little bit of fun, all during the NASCAR season. It's time for the white flag here on the Dale Jr. Download, and dropping after the race, as usual. What a great year for the teardown. Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Joe Logano stopped by after winning the Cup Championship Sunday evening. And just want to thank Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi for an incredible year on the teardown. What an awesome, awesome asset here at Dirty Mo Media. It's awesome that we've been able to partner with those guys and showcase what they're doing every week. Dropping yesterday, Door Bumper Clear with Joel Edmonds. TJ, were you on that show?
I was.
You were?
I was, yes.
How was it? Good show?
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Dropping today, not Monday. This is a little unique. Dropping today, Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. Wonder how that's going to go. We usually know, right? We usually kind of know. We got those sound bites. Denny, he's always firing off some rounds and getting pretty aggressive sometimes.
A little. It's a few days removed. Let's see what kind of Denny we got.
It could be a little different. All right. Dropping tomorrow, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden. The guest on our Allied guest segment for the Dale Jr. Download is Mike Curb. So Mike Curb used to sponsor Dad's car back in 1980. Sponsored many cars throughout his life and been involved in motorsports. I think he was a governor at one point of California or somewhere. What was it?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
That was in Becoming Earnhardt round 1.
Oh, man, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, look, also, yeah, he's in the music business. Had incredible impact on music. So I can't wait to talk to Mike. I've never really spent much time with the guy. He's had a fascinating life. It's going to be a cool way to end the season in terms of our guest segments.
Absolutely.
Also, dropping Thursday, DJD Reloaded. It's a little bit different this week. It's the first episode of Herm and Schrader.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
And how pumped are you to have that show up and running?
So DJD Reloaded will be basically just the first episode of Herm and Schrader.
Yeah. I can't wait to listen to this first episode.
Oh, I know that. People are going to listen. No question. It's going to be awesome. It's Kenny Schrader and Kenny Wallace. What's not to like?
Exactly.
Yeah. TJ, what do you think?
I think it's going to be exciting. Schrader's and Kenny, they're both characters.
You agree with me and Andrew?
Both, yeah.
We got the question of the week from Kyle Busch. This ought to be good.
All right, Dale. Do you still play with your little toy RC cars, or has that gone to the wayside?
I haven't played with those things in a while. Way back, probably around 2002, 2003, I built 2 RC tracks on my property. They're still there. We had a garage full of quarter scale and 10th scale cars, gas powered. We were getting cars from Leonard Wood. He builds a hell of an RC car. Tony Jr., Tony Sr., all of the guys on the Bud team had cars. We raced against each other. We'd travel. If we went to test at Greenville Pickens, there was a track just down the street we'd run at. We were always finding these hobby shops. There was one in Bristol near the racetrack with a track. So that was a big part of probably the early thousands. And man, we had fun with it, but it eventually kind of ran. TJ was a big part of that too. We had the quarter scales.
The quarter scales were amazing.
They were kind of slower and lumbery, so you could kind of really drive them and work on the balance and get it to turn or get it to free up. And you change springs and stuff and drive it, and it wasn't so fast. Like a 10th scale is so damn fast, it's out of control. I don't even know why that doesn't even look fun. When they get to a certain speed, it's just not even that fun. But the quarter scales were kind of cool because they were kind of slower. And
they were like real race cars.
You drove them, and they would when they door bang, they'd leave real tire marks. I love that part. But they were expensive too when you tear one up. But I sold all that stuff. I actually got a friend to come over to my house and list it all on eBay and just tried our hardest just to get rid of it. And so it's gone. I do have 2 brand new, completely mint cars that Leonard built me.
Oh yeah, you've talked about this.
I will never
that is really cool.
ever run them. They're brand new, and I consider Leonard just an innovator. And even at his age, just an incredibly impressive mind. And his, the Wood brothers and their history and notoriety and fame. I just thought, man, he gave me those. He gave it to me probably around 2014 or 15. I was like, I can't use these. I was wanting some new stuff because I was gonna run, but he brought them, and I was like, God, I can't run this. I gotta.
They're too nice.
Yeah, they are.
They're too nice.
They're so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, Dalton, you've got this week's social media standout.
I do. This one comes from Curtis Bailey on Twitter, and he said, in honor of Herman Schrader, he said this is going to be his first time ever listening to a Dirty Mo Media show with Herman Schrader. I know.
What a jerk.
And he's not going to hear his shout-out on this show.
Nope. So,
where the hell have you been?
I felt that way too. I was like, okay,
don't say his name again. I was about to ask you who this guy's name was. Don't say it. Don't shame him.
Don't shame him.
Don't bring shame upon him.
I was like, we put out some pretty good stuff, but if Herman Schrader brings you to the family, all right, we'll be happy about it.
Let's hope he likes it.
Where have you been?
We need a report on this
no,
show.
Hey,
can't say that.
Bleep it out.
Okay.
Bleep it
buddy,
out.
Jeez.
Guy,
Yeah.
pal, whatever you are. Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah. Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
You're going to love it here.
Yeah. Already giving you a hard time.
All right. It's a great show. Thanks, TJ, for coming in. And tomorrow, remember, Mike Curb comes on the show. Going to be a great way to end the season. I think it'll be a compelling show. Remember when we were talking to Buddy Parrott, I believe, and he was telling us how that whole Daytona,
ask him about
Richard
this.
Petty 200
Yes.
win. Mike Curb was involved,
Right.
woven into that.
Like Ronald Reagan was
Reagan,
there.
yeah, let's check
Eaton
that out.
KFC
Yeah,
and all
we're going to
that.
ask some questions to see what we get to.
Yes.
It's going to be fun. All right, we'll see y'all